Yeah.
What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 36. And today we're going to talk about the week that was in week 11. Kicking it off with us, first of all, the reigning, defending, undisputed world heavyweight Bigs champion 3 times over, and our esteemed commissioner, Ben Nisman. Benny, licking your wounds after a loss this week. How you feeling here today?
Feeling pretty great. Always pleasure to talk to you guys. Have the whole panel here to talk about the Bigs, man. I'm really excited. Yeah, licking my wounds maybe just a little bit, but not terribly after 2 weeks of losses. I've had a lot of success too, but looking forward to breaking it all down because we got a whole lot to unpack today, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a crazy week and it's been a crazy Monday, and first pitches just got thrown. With us as well as one of those guys creating the madness here, Jason Ashby, Denver, Colorado resident, Mets fan, trading for Chris Bryant today. How you feeling about that?
Yeah. I've been wanting him since Kostas sniped him from me in the draft, and I know there's risks involved in him, but the eligibility plus playing here in Denver, like as long as he's healthy, I feel pretty good. My offense has needed a boost. I'm hoping that he's the guy to do it.
All right. Well, we will see. This is kind of the Hail Mary with the final trade here in late June for you. So we're going to see if this is going to be the ignition to this team.
Yep.
And speaking of teams with ignitions lit, Mike Haber from Hillsdale, New Jersey, coming at us, taking down a huge win. We're going to talk about it in just a moment, Mike, but how are you this evening and how you feeling?
I am doing pretty great. Thanks for having me, Joe. I am feeling great after this win that I badly needed. And I'm pretty exhausted. I had my first day of camp today. And that's all, but I'm thrilled to be here with you guys.
How many kids are at the camp learning from Mr. Haber about sports?
I'm doing rocks and ropes this year, so rock climbing and zip lining and stuff like that. So gonna be like, I don't know, 400, 500 campers, something like that.
Wow.
Great. You're a better man than me, dude. Like 400 to 500 kids feels like F inside. I get anxiety. Let's dive into this thing. Let's jump into this thing this week. We're gonna start with Mike Haber's matchup as he took down a huge 15-4 win over Chris Levy. And on Sunday, we saw quite a bit of movement here when we see things like home runs. Mike, you had a 1 home run lead and Chris tied that up. Chris had a 1 steal lead, and Mike somehow pulled off 5 on a Sunday for some insane reason. Errors were tied and Chris lost that one. Batting average was essentially tied. Mike, you got that. Walks given up by a pitcher, Chris had by 1, and that obviously changed. And strikeouts, Mike, you had a 2 strikeout lead. Chris threw a whole lot of pitchers.
What about home runs for a batter, Joe? Because I know that one went back and forth yesterday.
Yeah, Mike had a 1 homer lead. That was the first one I led with.
Okay.
For the close categories this week, Chris won by 3 RBIs, and that's about it. And Mike won by the 2 triples, the error, and 5 ticks on the batting average. You guys tied in doubles and homers. On the bench for Mr. Haber this week, Ben, it is a 5 for 28.
Okay. 187.
179.
Oh,
within
close.
the 10. Yeah, within 10 points. 2 runs, a double, 2 walks, and 15 strikeouts. None of it plays. His moves this week. So you picked up Jack Sawinski on Monday. 1 for 4, 2 runs, a double, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. You dropped Jonah Heim for Chase DeYoung. 3 2/3, a walk, 2 strikeouts, an 0.55 whip, and a relief appearance. Unfortunately, you had to drop Aaron Ashby, Jason's cousin, because he got injured. And you picked up Ross Stripling, 6 innings to win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 1. Very nice grab there, dude.
Thank you.
Solid pickup there. Drop Chase DeYoung for Max Kepler, 0 for 3 with a walk. Not great. Dropped Max Kepler for Eric Swanson, a third of an inning, a strikeout, a 6 whip, and a relief appearance the day you picked him up. But didn't he get you a save on Sunday?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. You then dropped Jack Sawinski, added Jesse Chavez, which was a waste, and then dropped Jesse Chavez for Graham Ashcraft, which will be some point this week. Your MVP this week, I don't know if Jason had the same one I did, but we're going to go with Bobby Witt Jr.
I had J-Rod.
Okay. Either one would be acceptable. 261 and a 370 for Bobby Witt. 4 runs, a double, a triple, 3 homers, 5 RBIs, a steal, 4 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. Mike, you've had this pair of rookies on the roster all season. How much are you loving the fact that it's paying off now?
Oh, I'm thrilled, beyond thrilled. Julio is, I think, the MVP, rookie of the year favorite for the AL. But if Bobby Witt has a big second half, I could see him pushing for it. So
I guess the only real failure of the young kid strategy was Torkelson here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I guess you can live with that.
Yeah.
The least valuable hitter this week, I had Glaber Torres.
I was back and forth between him and Riley Green, only because Glaber was injured.
Gotcha. I went with Glaber, 091 and a 200 with 6 strikeouts. He did have 3 steals though, which is
3
awesome.
steals was big too.
Yeah.
So I mean, neither one of them didn't give you something here. Like Riley.
Yeah,
Green
everybody contributed something in your lineup.
The Cy Young, I have Ross Stripling. Yep. The streaming 6 innings, win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, a 150 and a 1. And the Cy Young Griffin Jacks. The only thing I could come up with.
You know what? I mean, Mike pitched
3 relief appearances and he gets 2 losses. Like,
249 ERA though. Like, I went with Zach Wheeler because like he was just mediocre, like for Zach Wheeler. Like, but
still 8 strikeouts. Great. Either way, Mike, you pitched fantastically, and it, when you throw to a sub 2.5 ERA, it's kind of difficult to find a yucky pitcher on the week.
Mm-hmm.
Over on Chris Levy's side, Benjamin, it is a 10 for 48.
Okay. 222.
208. 7 runs, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 steals, 6 walks, 14 strikeouts, and an error. The 10 hits plays because he lost by 5 ticks on the batting average. The 7 runs play, he lost that by 4, and the 3 home runs play because he tied it. I think the most egregious one, and Ben, we were talking about this on Sunday, about the Yastrzemski benching that Levy had when Ronald Acuna wasn't in the lineup. We assume that that's a timing thing where Yastrzemski played very early in the day and Acuna was the night game.
Well, Yastrzemski was a 4:00 game, but it I'm pretty sure, but as far 4:00 Eastern Standard Time. But I'm wondering, would the 7 o'clock or what time that game started? The night game, 7:07?
7 o'clock,
Yeah, I would. I don't know. I guess we don't know if those lineups are up.
There may have been, but it would have been close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, the homer is the difficult one to live with, especially when he had 3 on the bench. The other one here would be Saturday. We've got a home run from Tyro Estrada with a steal on the bench.
Yeah.
And you got Alex Bregman doing not a whole lot of things because he's Alex Bregman and he's not good. And you can shuffle your lineup around.
He had a good week, though.
He did have a good week.
He did this week, but I mean, he's not been good. His moves this week, he dropped Matt Duffy for Aaron Civale, who's injured. He dropped Graham Ashcraft for Zach Plesac, 6 innings, a loss, a homer, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, a 150, and an 083 whip. And he dropped Daniel Hudson for Steve Okert. Rest in peace, Daniel Hudson's 2022 season. He is off to have surgery. His MVP this week, Aaron Judge. 200 average, 259 on base, 4 runs, 3 homers, 6 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. Do you have that guy?
Who did I go with? I think I actually went with.
If you went with Bregman, I understand.
Bregman, Darno was somebody.
Wow.
Bregman's 2 errors was ugly, but Darno had a good week too.
Yeah.
Bregman was just a beast.
He was, but 2 errors is ugly, and you know what? Like he's still only hitting 235 on the season.
Well, that has nothing to do with this week, though.
No, that's true. That's true. I only gave it to Judge because he tied up the homers in that final game or that late game. So
Yeah.
Fair.
Mark Canna is the least valuable hitter, 091, 167 with a run, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. I can understand listening to Jake Cronenworth with his 048 average in the week.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of because at least Cronenworth scored 5 runs. I don't know how he scored 5 runs and hit only 048, but
Yeah.
He was hit by a pitch like 6 times this week.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Cy Young this week, Shane McClanahan might be the best pitcher in the American League right now. 13 innings, a win, a homer, a walk, 18 strikeouts, 138, and a very nice 069 whip. The Cy Young, welcome back to the league, Anthony DeSclafani. 5 2/3, a loss, 2 homers, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. A 1906 was like pre-World War I, and a 265 whip.
That's over 2 starts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Disgusting. Guys, let's talk about this one because Mike Haber makes the number 1 team fall quite a bit. You tripled him up, Mike. Good job.
Thank you. It was a great win. I feel like my strategy from the beginning never changed. And I feel like when I have a week when I know my strategy Monday morning and it doesn't change all week, like I don't have to do some sort of like midweek shift. That's when I'm at my best. And the strategy worked out perfectly. Like I knew this week, I'm not chasing innings. I'm not chasing wins. I'm not chasing strikeouts. I'm inching to the minimum. I'm benching starters that I don't like the matchups. And it just paid off. Like everything kind of worked out. And it's the first week in a while that it worked out like that since last year, I think. So I feel bad for Chris because I've done this to him year after year. And I'm sure he's not happy playing me anymore. Because was it last year or the year before that it was like the 18-0 or
2019.
2019.
Leave me something to say, please.
Yeah. Ben, you can jump in now if you want.
All right. I was about to say there are like 3 things that are for sure: death, taxes, and Mike Haber beats Chris Levy in fantasy baseball. I mean, I don't know. He's been in the league since 2014, but every single time I feel like Mike Haber has won that matchup. It's a ridiculous percentage, whatever it is. And this was an interesting matchup to watch unfold for me because going into it, I just remember Mike talking about how terrified he was to play Chris. And it was just more of the same that we've seen when these two guys play against each other. So I found that very interesting. I found the fact that the timing couldn't have been more perfect for you. So I see just now this might be the jump that you needed, basically. And I'm excited to see what comes from here because 10 weeks is a lot. Like it's a lot of time for just any team to go on that 5, 6, or 7 or 8 out of 10, whatever it is. That run is right there in front of you right now, and your chances are just as good. You couldn't have asked for something better at a better time.
All of a sudden, you've jumped yourself right up into the middle of this in 11th. You are what, 8.5, 6, 7.5 back of a playoff spot? No, 13.5, 12.5 back of a playoff spot.
That's nothing, though. That's
nothing.
really nothing.
No, that's
Chasing
one.
my
That's
brother
one
now,
more
yeah.
good week. Yeah, that's one more good week.
Yeah.
Jason, you saw this just as well as I do because we had a little snafu in the research. So more on that later on in the show. But we doubled up on this matchup. I'm glad to see that our research matched. That's always reinforcing the process here. So
we're in lockstep. Yeah, I mean, just what you guys said. Like, this is exactly what Mike Haber needed, and this is exactly the things that you're capable of doing. And I mean, I'm looking at your schedule now, and it's McCloskey this week, and then Christian, and then Ben. Like, that's gonna be a very interesting. Yeah, that's gonna be a very interesting period for you. Like, Because if you can take like 2 or 3 of those, like I feel really good.
There's a lot of ground to make up, but there's a lot of time to make it up, and you've got the schedule with a whole lot of guys in front of you.
Exactly.
I always look forward to a matchup with Ben Nisman too.
Sure. That's one I generally don't come out. I have a couple times, but in general, regular season, it's been tough for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, after Ben, it's all guys in front of you with the exception of like Jason and Matt.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is the kind of schedule that we saw line up for Brian Lebo last year. And we saw Lebo go on a very, very strong run, but not be able to finish it off. And this is the kind of thing that I think we're about
that, by the way.
Yeah.
You what?
He stomped out Brian's fire.
Oh,
He was like,
yeah.
no, not yet.
So maybe you stomp out mine.
It would probably have to be later in the season. I'm looking at the matchup with, say, your brother in week 17 as a pretty important point where you need to be right there with him. This needs to sort of be a play-in game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got to worry about me 2 weeks later.
Right.
Because if there's a fire that needs to be stomped out, who are they going to call but the fire dispatcher?
And
Well
and
said.
who wants to do it more than Joe?
Oh God, I don't know, but I feel like there are people who would line up behind me to do it.
Do you think your brother would be on that list?
I think Joe wants to destroy me more than Josh does. Like I learned a lot from last week's episode where Joe said how much he wants to take me out.
That's what's great about this show. We learn a lot more about each other.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Are we concerned about this meeting that Chris Levy just took here, guys? Are we worried that this might be a bit of a slide for a guy who has kind of choked away opportunity at the playoffs before?
I'll start. I don't think so. I think he's more focused this year. And I think even if he slips mentally, there is just a really, really strong roster, at least right now, that can back him up and pick up for his mistakes for the next 10 weeks. At least a couple of those weeks, I think a couple of those hitters could probably just carry them until they possibly cool down. But for right now, the roster is so strong and well constructed. I think he could make up for possibly, I mean, this is the best start he's had. So the collapse thing, if it happens, it has to start soon, you know, and I don't consider
it would have to have started now.
Right, but yeah,
we're gonna need Jimmy to do some work. Like if Jimmy puts in work this week and doubles him up, and then what does he have next week? Like if this is the start of it, if this is the crumbling of the base, like we're gonna know by the end of this week. And to put in perspective the rest of his schedule, so he just took this beating. He faces Jimmy this week, James McCloskey next week, his cousin the following week, and then Ben Nisman the week after that. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now.
Yeah. We're gonna see. I mean, a lot of times what I find out is that we talk about the manager and everything, and this is more kudos to what Jason talks about with that a lot of this is luck, is that sometimes a team just doesn't match up well against another team, you know, based on the strategy that they're going for and how they're built. This team can basically almost never beat that team if they're both hot or if they're both cold. You would need that other team to be hot that doesn't match up well. So that's sometimes how it goes. You know, right now, Ari Nisman, we'll get into it, is a hot team. It's hard to beat him regardless of him not wanting to pick up relievers. You know, it's just different.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like I said, if we see Chris start to slide, we're gonna look back at this moment and say Mike Haber was the starting blow here. But Mike got healthy, and it looks like you're on the prowl for a playoff spot.
I think I'm making a lot of enemies in this league too.
Not intentionally, though.
Not intentionally, no.
You're one.
And that's not a bad thing. Like that means you're doing something right.
Yeah,
I
agree.
Speaking
of doing something right, I won for the second week in a row. Hey, I'm doing things right for a change. 14-6 win over Josh. That was a good one. On Sunday, Josh had a 3-run lead, and I flipped that. Homers, Josh had a 1 homer lead and I tied that. RBIs were tied and I took that.
Wow.
I had a 1 error lead and Jose Abreu errored twice and lost me that category. So he gets one.
Okay.
Wins were tied and Josh threw a bunch of pitchers and he got a couple of wins. So he got that. And relief appearances, I had a 3 relief appearance lead. He got 4 on the day to snag that one at the very end from me as well.
You had none on Sunday, Joe?
I benched everything. I benched.
Got it. And he just got him. Wow.
Yeah, he went and we'll see about we'll talk about it in a second. I won by 2 runs. I won by 1 RBI. I won by 1 steal. I won by 6 walks by a batter, 3 strikeouts by a hitter, and a save. Josh won by the triple. He won by the error and a relief appearance. We tied in home runs by a hitter with 5. On my bench this week, Benjamin, 3 for 19.
Jeez, man. 150, 140, 136.
158. 3 runs, a double, 3 walks, a steal, 5 strikeouts, none of it plays. Moving on. My moves this week. I dropped Zach Eflin for Jeremy Pena, who why is that? What happened? He wasn't even that hurt. He missed 10 days. Look. Why did we drop this kid? Christian, answer the question. Anyway,
Yeah.
Andrew McCutcheon gets dropped for Garrett Kalnick, who goes on my NA. Luke Voigt gets dropped for Jorge Alfaro. Thank you so much for that guy. We'll talk about him in a minute. I added Elvis Presley Peguero. Ben, what team does he play for?
I don't know. The California Raisins.
Obviously, it's the Memphis Redbirds, but it's also the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Orange County. I dropped that dude the next day for Devin Smelter. We'll talk about him later. Scott Efros gets dropped for Jesus Dirty Sanchez. Devin Smelter gets dropped for Matt Foster Children. Matt Foster gets dropped for Mitch White. Dirty Sanchez gets dropped for Alex Vesia. And on Sunday, the fun stuff. I dropped Seth Martinez for Marco Gonzalez, dropped Mitch White for Bo Brisky, dropped Marco Gonzalez for Keegan Aiken after Bell, and then I dropped Bo Brisky. All 12 ads, 4 hitters, 4 relievers, 4 starters. That's balance. My MVP is John Birdie again, guys. 375 with a 444, 5 runs, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 RBIs, 3 steals, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and an error. I think he has, here it is. He has stolen 17 bags in 22 games since the 1st of June.
Incredible.
I picked him up.
Incredible pace.
I picked him up on the 3rd.
It's like infielder Scott Podsednik right now.
He's
Yeah.
Ricky Henderson right now, and I'm loving every second of it.
And the thing is, like, he's playing against the Mets, and the Mets are terrible at the running game.
Defending
So,
against him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he had that horrible game where he was just absolutely living inside of Jerry Familia's head. You guys remember that terrible game. My least valuable hitter this week, Dylan Carlson, 167 and a 318, a run, 2 doubles, an RBI, a steal, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The Cy Young is that man, my man crush, Pablo Lopez, 7 innings, a win, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and a 1 whip. Guy just keeps producing. The Cy Yuck is Spencer Strider, and you know what? I'll take it. 3 2/3, a homer, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 1473 and a 191. Just a couple of years later, Columbus would be coming across the Atlantic.
he was also really good yesterday.
He was very good. He was very good yesterday, but I certainly wasn't starting him against the Dodgers on Sunday.
Right. It's tough.
For Josh this week on his bench, Benjamin, 3 for 23.
Cool. Okay, so is that one thing? Because the other one you said was like 3 for 19 or something. So
Yes, the other one was 3 for 19.
Okay. 128.
130.
Ooh.
130. Almost nailed it. 2 runs, a homer, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 7 strikeouts. The homer and RBI by Jonathan India would have tied or flipped these categories. Where was it? On Tuesday. we go. So Mr. Josh missed this home run from Jonathan India, 1 for 3, a walk, a strikeout, an RBI, and a run. The homer would have won him the category. The RBIs would have tied the category.
Oh,
And the play is Luis Garcia. Like, why are you playing Luis Garcia, like the third best Luis Garcia in baseball right now? Why are you settling for a lesser Luis Garcia over Jonathan?
So we actually talked about it kind of extensively that night, because he was like, I don't know which second baseman to play here. It was definitely matchup related. I don't remember who India was facing, but I think Garcia was it Baltimore? Yeah,
it would have been this Baltimore series right in here.
it was Baltimore, and India was
That
facing
he was
the
so
Dodgers.
good for his 0 for 7 with 2 strikeouts.
Yeah,
Totally worth benching the last year's Rookie of the Year for. His moves this week: Alex Kirilloff gets dropped for Hunter Dozier. Tristan Casas gets dropped for CJ Abrams. Abrams then dropped the next day for Max Meyer. So that's 2 moves for an NA guy. He adds Zach Johnson, 4 moves, 2 of them being with that NA spot. Pecker Principe, nice. Pecker Precipice, that's the word. Precipice, not Principe. Precipice. It's a Pecker Precipice, Ben. Do you know who it is?
I don't know who it is, but
It's
I'm gushing over.
It's still Big
Yeah,
Mountain.
very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
Jonah Heim. This has to be the third best Luis Garcia. Gets dropped back for Alex Kirilloff. Marco Gonzalez gets dropped for Jesus Aguilar. Jonah Heim for Jared Koenig. Are you going with that? That's Koenig. Okay. Alex Kirilloff gets dropped for Zach Eflin. Koenig gets dropped for Daniel Castano. Zach Jackson for 1-800-GLEN Otto. And AJ Puck for Jackson. I'm not even going to try. All 12.
Oh, come on. I was looking
5
forward
hitters,
to
a reliever, and 6 starters. His MVP this week, we'll talk about Austin Hayes. And I'm still on that Tuesday. So we'll go back to the Sunday or the all week. Here we go. 320 average, 320 on base, 4 runs, 4 doubles, a triple, a homer, 7 RBIs, and 8 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is William Contreras, 071 with a 235, a run, an RBI, a steal, 3 walks, a strikeout, and an error. He had the opportunity to still get RBIs or home runs with William Contreras playing the Sunday night game and just give him absolutely nothing. The Cy Young is that guy Jackson that Mike wants me to really, really pronounce his name, and I just can't. 6 innings, a win, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, a 150, and a 1 whip. I mean, how are you pronouncing this thing?
Tetrol?
Titty reels, got it. Okay. His Cy Young is Glenn Otto. 2 innings, a loss, 3 walks, a strikeout, 27 ERA, and a 450 whip. That's the guy I absolutely had to guarantee was going to be in Josh's lineup to assure me that I was going to win ERA and whip without starting anybody, without throwing anybody of note. So that's the matchup, fellas. I'm going to kick it to you because it's my matchup. Ben, have at it.
Yeah, I love the strategy there on Sunday, just picking up the later game guys just to ensure that Josh starts his starters, and then you just let them go for other things. That made a lot of sense. I've seen Uncle Barry make that move before. It's a bluff. It's a position that you put someone in, they don't have a choice but to start them, because if they don't, then there's the other possibility. So well done. And I wonder where this leaves Josh. I'm not as, I was pretty sure I knew what your team was going this year, Joe. We've talked about how balanced it was, and even through very small injuries, you weathered the storm with Franco very well. You made some really savvy trades here, still with 1 in the bag for you to use at maybe the deadline. I'm more concerned maybe about Josh here. It's starting to slip away from him, maybe with 10 weeks to go. It's a hell of a lot of time, but there's so many other teams climbing this ladder right now between Kostas and Mike and Frank, and you want to throw
Bobby,
7th place Bobby. So There's a lot of guys in there right now. So Josh needs to win an important win here against Kostas. They fought each other in the first round last year. That was Josh's first playoff appearance in the 15 years he's been in the league. And this is an important matchup for both of them. This and the other one we'll discuss later on as we talk about those matchups as well. But this is one of the premier matchups this coming week. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Two completely different styles, different managerial decisions are going to be made, tackling different kinds of categories. So I'm just stoked, but I am a little bit concerned. I don't know how you guys feel.
Mike, you did the research on this one, and you spoke with Josh and myself extensively throughout the week. So I think your perspective is our best eye here on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I know Josh wanted to win. He really wanted to win this matchup against you, Joe. And you know, he's let down. He's disappointed. But he's still in a good position to keep fighting. Like he's fine. He's holding a playoff spot. He's
got a 5-game lead on the next guy.
And you gotta think of it. Cushion. It's something. You got to think of it like, okay, that's over. We've got, you know, half a season now. Let's start from scratch. And like, I could start a new winning streak 4 weeks in a row. So just look ahead, look to Kostas, you know.
Yeah. Put that fire out. You're 14 over. You're fine.
Yeah. So don't panic. And that's it. And he's done a really good job of navigating through, like I've said to him and on the show before, like a mediocre pitching staff. He's done a good job of navigating that.
He's still got plenty of opportunity to improve that pitching staff as well. There are pieces on that roster that he can afford to move in order to improve that pitching staff should he choose to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. And for you, Joe, it's kind of the same old with you. You did what you had to do to get a big win, and you know what you did on Sunday was pretty brilliant. And I don't know what else to even say about it, but you had a very impressive week, and I know you hate me and you're coming after me, but you know what? I'm still going to compliment you.
You know what? I appreciate you, Mike Haber. You're one of my closest friends, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Jason, anything else that these guys haven't hit on?
Yeah, no, I just going down the roster, like, the one thing that stands out to me is Josh's pitching staff. That worries me tremendously. If there's a chance for him to improve that, I would hope that he takes it. I know he's got Freddie Peralta, who I traded to him. He's sitting there on the IL. Maybe he comes back late in the year and as a boost, but you know, I just worry that this pitching staff is gonna crumble.
It's not a great one. Morton hasn't been great. Mackenzie Gore has been good for him. Alex Cobb has been a disaster. He's got this Ronzi Contreras kid that just came up for Pittsburgh, who looks pretty good. Wainwright's just sort of stabilizing anymore. Kyle Gibson is not what he had last year.
No.
And it's not a great bullpen. It's not an awful bullpen, but it's, you know, it's just sort of there. It's just sort of there. Is this a team we could most likely see out of this group of 6 falling out, in your opinion, Ben?
In my opinion, that it's hard.
You can change your mind tomorrow, but like right
now,
I
mean, listen, dude, that's such a hard question to ask with 10 weeks left. I really don't know because these guys might be doing what we talked about this a lot yesterday, how you'll drop players from your team to catch a stat at this point. And it might be a player that you regret dropping, you know you're going to regret dropping, but it's so important for you to get relief appearances or innings pitched or whatever it is that you're saying, like, my God, it's my 12th ad, but I think I got to do it. So it's such an impossible question to answer. I'm sorry to kind of chicken out on it, but it's just.
I think that the next 3 weeks on his schedule is going to be really telling. He's got Kostas this week, then Ari, and then Frank, and like
those are 3 guys that are right behind him who want his spot. So
like that
you've got to do this. You've got to stay right there. I'm going to take the last 2.5 minutes, gentlemen, and It's the third time I've sat atop the standings in this league this season, guys, and I am pushing for my 5th championship. There are no bones about it that if I get my 5th championship in the last 8 years and go to the semifinals for 8 of the previous 9 years. Am I right on that, Ben?
Yeah, and I'll even go further if you want to talk about in the last 12, 11,
Since 06?
17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I was going to say the last 12 years since 2011, how many semifinals there's been. The only ones you missed was in 2013 and 2016. So that's 10 out of 12 years.
There it is. I haven't missed a playoff since 2013. And I'm not missing the playoffs this year. I'm the one holding down the table tonight. I am the breadwinner. Feed me the big piece of chicken and acknowledge me as the head of household here in the big.
We put it on your tax return, head of household.
And I have 15 goddamn dependents. Let's move on to the next matchup, boys. We're going to talk about the matchup between Jimmy Dunlap and Matt Losey, a double-up win for Jimmy here, 14-7 handling business. On Sunday, this one's rough. This one's really rough when we see what happens.
Incredible.
Matt was tied in losses. He was tied in home runs, and the whip was essentially tied, and it was in his favor. What happened? We'll talk about it in a moment. Close categories. Jimmy wins by the triple, the steal, 2 errors, a win, a loss, and a home run given up by a pitcher. And again, and the small amount of whip. Matt won by a home run, and they did not tie in anything. For Jimmy on his bench, Benjamin, 7 for 33.
Oh, damn you, Jimmy. Let's go 1 for 9. Jeez, dude.
7 for 33 is not 1 for 9.
No, but 7 for 36 is. So I'm like saying it's like a 1 for 9, but it's a little better.
No.
7 for 63 would be 1.
Would be 1 for 9. 7 for 36 is 1 for 6.
No.
Nope.
No. Where am I?
It's a 212 batting average with 4 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, home run, 3 RBIs.
I was going in that direction. You should have just let me go with what I was doing. I was around the early 200s.
That was the best math ever.
He also had 8 strikeouts. The one thing that does play is the home run. The home run came on the 22nd. And again, what we're seeing with Jimmy here is just some of these decisions he has to make every day come back and bite him. The home runs here from Soler, 1 for 3. Harrison Bader went 0 for 4 in center field with 3 strikeouts. Like, disaster, but Harrison Bader was hot last week, so I understand that you're playing him. Jorge Soler is probably going to hit more home runs than him. It's just, it's one of those decisions that he's just going to have to live with. For his moves this week, he dropped Matt Bush for Sean, not Brad, and not Steve Armstrong. An inning and a third, a win, 3 strikeouts, an 075 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Wandy Peralta for Ryan Brazier, 2 innings, and 050 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Connor Brogdon for Daniel Castano, 3 1/3, a homer, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 10.80 ERA, and a 3 whip. He dropped Jake Cheeseburger for Will Scarecrow, an inning and 2/3, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 21.60 ERA, a 3 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Daniel Castano for former outfielder, now turned relief pitcher Anthony Gose, 2 innings, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. He dropped Brazier for Andres Munoz, an inning, 3 strikeouts, a relief appearance, and a 1 whip. He drops Sean Armstrong for Dean Kramer, 5 2/3, a win, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 1-4-1 whip. Drops Anthony Gose for Just Steele, 5 2/3, 2 homers, 8 strikeouts, a 7.94 ERA, and a 124 whip. Dropped Steele for Tyler Rogers, an inning, a strikeout, and a relief appearance. And dropped Will Crow for David Price, an inning, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 2 whip, and a relief appearance. Holy hell, that's a lot of relievers. His MVP this week is Brian Reynolds. Hey, we're saying his name for the first time in like all season, right? At least in this sense. 308 average, 345 on base, 4 runs, a triple, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Harrison Bader, who did not have a hit and had 7 strikeouts and is now on the IL. The Cy Young is Christian Javier, who was part of the Yankee no-hitters, 7 innings, a win, a walk, 13 strikeouts, and an 0.14 whip. The Cy Young is Paul Blackburn, 4 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, 15.75, and a 3 whip. Gross. For Matt on his bench, Benjamin, 7 for 13.
If I speak out loud, I don't need any opinions from the peanut gallery, okay?
No.
485.
538. 2 runs,
Oh
a double.
my God. Oh my God.
Yep.
Don't ask me for that. How did I do that?
2 runs, a double, a homer, 4 RBIs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. None of it plays. His moves this week: he dropped Austin Meadows for Luis Gonzalez, not the one on the Diamondbacks, but the one on the Giants. 0 for 3 with an RBI, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. He dropped Jose Barrios, more on that guy later on in the show, for Trevor Williams. 4 innings, a loss, 2 homers, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 6.75, and a 1.7. He dropped Trevor Williams for Sean Murphy, 0 for 3 with a walk and 2 strikeouts, and dropped Danny Mendick for Harold Ramirez, 1 for 1 with an RBI. That's it. 4 moves, 3 hitters, and a starter. The key players this week for Matt is Shohei Ohtani, 389 average, 536 on base percentage, 3 runs, 3 homers, 10 RBIs, 8 walks, and 4 strikeouts. It's a good Ohtani week, and he doesn't win. That's rough. That's rough. The least valuable hitter is Ryan McMahon, 133 and a 235, or an RBI, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young is Logan Webb, 13 innings, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 13 strikeouts, a nice 0.69 ERA, and an 0.77 whip. And the Cy Young is the no longer employed on his team, Jose Barrios, 4 innings, a loss, 3 dingers, a walk, a strikeout, a 13.50, and a 2.50. I think that's where we'll start with Jose Barrios. This is what, a 3rd round or 4th round pick that we have falling off of a team in June.
Really?
4th rounder, 57th overall, comes off a team in June because of poor performance. I'll start with Jason Ashby to talk about Jose Barrios.
Dude, I know he's been pitching poorly, but on the Blue Jays, he's got access to wins. We know he's a strikeout pitcher. I'm not worried about him, and now he's my property, so I'm happy.
See, he got dropped by Matt, and Ben Nisman picked him up with the number 1 overall waiver claim. Got the awful 2 2/3 start against Milwaukee, and then has since shipped him off to Jason. So Ben, I do have to ask about Jose Barrios there. If Jason doesn't come knocking, are you hanging on to him? Is the rotation looking pretty at that point?
Well, the truth is I came knocking, knowing that Jason was intrigued by the man and wanted a chance at him. So I haven't really watched Barrios through his career the way you guys have, especially you, Joe. Like, you had been gushing over Barrios for a very long time, but I never really watched him pitch. Like, nothing ever stood out at me. They haven't made the playoffs nearly enough for me to get to watch him. So for me, it was just a guy with a poor ERA that people were intrigued by. And I felt like this was the perfect time to attack, to get needs that I felt like were still critical, which was third base. So, for Jason, this is great, especially because it was another clunker on Sunday. Because how many in a row can he have? He's shown that he can throw a few good starts. So I think Jason's getting him at the perfect time right now. Getting back to the matchup, though, yes. I mean, this is just crazy how it just unfolded on Sunday in Jimmy's favor. And he was out in the mountains. He didn't even realize what happened until he came home. What a nice thing to come home to, right? Find out you got a couple of extra stats here. Matt, he continues to falter, and the work is being put in. You can tell more work is being put in, but still with no results. Jimmy doing what he has to do to ensure that this year, no collapse. He's going to the playoffs. He's going to make damn well sure that he does not leave any stone unturned to get there, because he knows more than everybody in this league, and only being in the league since 2019, that every stat matters.
No doubt. And getting these 3 stats here from Will Vest on Sunday, the loss, the homer, the whip. This dude cost Matt 3 categories by showing up and not performing very well against the Diamondbacks. Like, that has got to chap you when you see something like that. It's just a horrible stroke of luck for a team that has already had a really rough season and has a rookie manager at the helm. Mike, are you still in contact with Matt here now that the school year has concluded?
Yeah, a little less so, but he'll text me. We'll text each other every once in a while about trading or strategy or his team. But yeah, we're still in touch.
Has he texted you recently about this matchup?
He has not. No.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, for Jimmy, this is business as usual. It was a very close matchup for much of the week. Went into Sunday at 11-8, and you come home from the mountains and you got 14-7 in your lap. It's a beautiful, beautiful week for him. I don't think any of us are concerned about Jimmy missing the playoffs.
I don't think so.
No.
We said that last year. I mean, we said that Jimmy is the first man sitting at the table with Mike Haber. I remember hearing that pretty often last year. So, I mean, there's 10 weeks left. I know that his focus is incredible. So I'm not doubting it, but it's fantasy baseball and a lot of crazy things can happen down the stretch.
Sure. Both of these guys have plenty of room for trading as far as the counter there is concerned. I don't see any way that Matt could avoid what happened with Will Vest here on Sunday. I think you just sort of have to chalk that up to sometimes a reliever is going to have a bad outing, and it's just a really loud outing that if it had happened on a Wednesday, you wouldn't really care about.
Yeah.
You know,
was it a situation where he needed to play this guy, or should he have been benched?
That's a good question.
He was. I think he was down in relief.
He was chasing relief appearances. Jimmy had thrown a few, I believe. No, Jimmy did not throw any on Sunday. He was chasing the relief appearances. Got 2, but had 4 to go and had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 relievers plus the 2 that got in. So 9 of them were in.
Good
try. He was trying. And the 45 ERA might even tick the ERA quite a bit higher. Like, it was probably a lot closer. Home runs were tied. Losses were tied. He could have tried to get a win out of reliever. Like, he was pushing for it. He was pushing for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's at a time where he's desperate for
stats,
right?
I mean, he needs every single stat he can get.
He needs everyone, but there's a decent. Yeah, I guess with 9 relievers, you think there's a better chance of 4 coming in than a home run being given up amongst the entire staff. I guess.
Yeah. Well, let us move on here, gentlemen. It is time, Benjamin. It is time for that matchup that you had with Frank Bucco. Frank took down a 13-8 win, one of his most exciting wins of the season and most fulfilling wins for his season. He's on cloud 9 after defeating you. On Sunday, the errors were tied. Frank gave you that one. The on-base percentage, Frank had a 6-tick lead going in. You took that from him. Innings pitched, you had a 2 2/3 inning lead. Frank took that from you. And you had a 1 strikeout advantage, and Frank took that from you. So in the end, you took you guys pretty much had a wash of 2 at the side.
Yeah.
Close categories. Frank wins by 2 doubles, and he wins by a strikeout by a batter. You won by 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, an error, 7 ticks on the on-base percentage, 6 walks given up by a pitcher, and 3 relief appearances. You guys did not tie anywhere. For Frank on his bench, Ben, he went 0 for 3.
Okay. I think I can do it.
With 2 strikeouts. None of it plays. Well done, Frank. Well done. All right. His moves this week. Thank you. Thank you, Mike Haber, for this one. He drops the International Kilt Festival.
Wow.
He drops Mitch Keller for Anthony Santander. He drops Adrian Hauser for Brandon Belt. He adds Eddie Rosario onto his IL.
Of course he does.
Because of course he did. Brandon Belt and Anthony Santander get dropped. Tyler Wells gets dropped for Aaron Hicks. He adds Adrian Sampson and Alex Faedo. He drops Faedo for Marco Gonzalez, drops Sampson for Lou Trevino, and drops Aaron Hicks. 8 adds, 4 hitters, 3 starters, and a reliever. His MVP this week, Ben, who is it?
Wow. It could be Marte. Is it?
No.
I don't know.
Andres Jimenez, 435 with a 480 on base, 2 runs, a double, a homer, 3 RBIs, 2 steals, a walk, and 2 strikeouts with an error. The least valuable hitter, who do you think that is?
Marte?
No. I don't quite understand why you're picking Austin Riley though here, Mike.
I mean, it's not what you're looking for from like a power hitter.
Yeah.
And you know, everyone else like contributed something a little bit more. Like Marte gave him
Matt Chapman
runs.
would be my only other suggestion with the 2 errors and 9 strikeouts.
Yeah, 2. Anyone who had 2 multi-errors that flipped the category. So,
but he did score 6 runs.
6
with 3
runs
doubles.
and 3 doubles and a homer and 4 RBIs. Like he had a good offensive week.
He helped with the runs and doubles for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess it is Riley. 222 with a 318, a run, a double, a homer. 2 RBIs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The Cy Young, Benjamin, who was his best pitcher?
It's hard to say. I'm going to go with Peterson.
Peterson was good. Mike here is taking Dylan Cease. 13 innings, a win, a homer, 3 walks, 24 strikeouts in 13 innings, an 0.69 ERA and an 0.62 WHIP. The Cy Young is Joe Mantiply. 10 and 13 ERA, 1.13 WHIP, 2 2/3 with a loss, a homer, and 4 strikeouts and 2 relief appearances. I mean, we'll talk about it in a second a little bit more, but he was throwing to a ridiculous ERA for much of the week and then continued to do so and doubled the amount of innings he was throwing. Insanity.
Yeah. And 119 strikeouts.
Yes.
Over 98 innings.
Yeah.
Over 98 innings, he did 119 strikeouts.
Ridiculous. Insane. Ben, on your bench, 12 for 37.
Oh my God. Jeez. So 329?
324. 5 runs, 4 doubles, a homer, 6 RBIs, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. The 4 doubles would have played, but nothing else does. Carlos Santana on Tuesday. You know about it already. You talked about it with Frank last night.
Yeah. I was still, so the thing is about that though, if it's 4 on the bench, I needed 2 to be nailed. Now I was considering on Tuesday getting Votto in there instead of Grichuk. That's a double right there. Santana was never a consideration. If anything, he was being considered at the late game instead of Jesse Winker. But if you look at Winker's day and you look at Santana's day, it's, on Tuesday, it's kind of a wash.
Yeah.
We'll get into it more when I say the things that are, there's some regret here, but there's still a lot of good that I'm pretty stoked about. I mean, if this is much worse, maybe we're not talking right now today.
We shall hear quite a bit more here momentarily. Let's talk about your moves here. Dropped JD Davis for Jesse Chavez, dropped Jonathan VR for David Price, and dropped Kevin Biggio for Willie Peralta all on Tuesday, tripling up on the SPRP eligible guys. Dropped David Price for Patrick Corbin for Jose Barrios with the waiver spot, Willie Peralta for Jose Iglesias, Jesse Chavez for Kyle Hendricks, Jose Iglesias for Dylan Bundy. Dylan Floro for Yusei Kikuchi. Dylan Bundy for Antonio Sensatella. Yusei Kikuchi for Chichi Gonzalez. Antonio Sensatella for Ryan Feltner. And Hansel Robles gets dropped altogether because, say it with me, Jason. Fuck Hansel Robles.
Bless.
12 ads, 3
About time.
relievers, 8 starters, and a hitter. The MVP this week, Ben, who is it?
Maybe Votto again or Peterson.
How about Jesse Winker? A 500 average and a 640 on base, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 6 walks, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter?
Maybe, I mean, Grichuk was a 1 for 7, so it's a small sample size. Maybe Gary, 1 for 13.
We're going to go with JP Crawford, who was 2 for 23.
Okay.
087 with a 160, 2 runs, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, Coba.
The Cy Young is Tanner Scott. Welcome to the team. 3 relief appearances, 3 innings, a win, 2 saves, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and a 1 whip. The Cy Yuck is that Jose Barrios clown. 2 2/3, a loss, 2 homers, 2 walks, a strikeout, a 27 ERA, and a 375 whip. All right, Benjamin. The floor is yours to discuss what your matchup was and to give the final kudos to Frank for the win this week.
Yeah, I tipped my cap to him yesterday, and I'll do it again here for the guys that didn't get to watch Bigs live. He didn't have a ton of management to do because these guys just played their asses off for him. But he put these guys on the team, Peterson and Wells, and it just seemed every single time he put another pitcher out there, it was a score. It was 7 goose eggs. You know, it was a 0.25 ERA over 32 innings. And then I think over 39 innings, it was finally a 9.5 ERA. You can't compete with it, you know, and he's in the driver's seat at that point. So I could try to chase down innings and strikeouts, which I intended to do. He responded back, and those pitchers were better than mine and pitching deeper into games and not giving. He gave up no home runs in the first, I think, 40 innings. In fact, I think he got to the minimum without giving up a homer. I'm pretty positive.
He gave up 8 home runs in 11 baseball games.
He gave up 8, but he only gave up 8 on the last couple of days. You know what I mean? I think if we looked over and I don't know if you'd find one on Wednesday. I don't think you'd find one on Thursday. We might have to. I mean, you guys can do the research as I discuss it, but not to mention
nothing on Wednesday. 8 innings, no homers, a 1-1-2. Thursday,
nope.
We've got nothing. 4 innings of shutout ball. Tuesday,
no,
we've
definitely
got
not.
nothing. 9.
No, I know
he
for
threw
sure.
a baseball game, 15 strikeouts and nothing earned on Tuesday.
Right. That's nothing compared to what he did Monday. But I mean,
Monday was the big day, and it set the tone.
Monday, yeah. I mean,
Friday.
We talked
Friday
about
he gave up 5.
Friday he gave up 5. So it
Yeah.
finally happened on Friday. But at that point, I'm so far behind, and he doesn't care about giving up 5 home runs because he knows I have to keep pitching. So he was ahead of it. I'm grateful that I got walks given up. I basically baited him into being able to do that. But obviously, the Iglesias pickup, I thought it would work out. I did not need a multiple strikeout day from him. That really hurt. So way too many strikeouts on the board. But for how many at-bats he had, look at how many strikeouts he had. Over 500 at-bats, if you extrapolate it, it's like 130 strikeouts or so. It's less. It's less than that. Wait a minute. How many at-bats?
He had 232 at-bats. He had 49 strikeouts. You had 198 at-bats, and you had 50 strikeouts.
It's awful. It's an awful percentage, but he had a really, really good percentage compared to how many strikeouts a hitter gets on average, which is over 125. He's on pace for over 500 at-bats, being way less than that.
He had a 21% strikeout rate this week, and you had a 25%.
and I only lost by 1 strikeout.
Exactly.
And he took a major risk. He took a major risk in that night game. You know, that could have really unfolded. It could have ended up being 12-8 or 12-9 very easily. Was sweating my ass off while we were talking about it because on base percentage was close at that point, but fortunately enough, at bats happened that what was supposed to happen did happen. Fortunately, that was crazy, but held on to that, held on to my 4 stats. That was the key here. I mean, I've been able to do that against you, against Kostas, who has a lot of closers and on base guys. You especially. I mean, you were very fitted to beat me in a couple of those stats. I got you on all 4. I got Ari on all 4. I got Frank on all 4. I'm still doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what the team is supposed to be doing. I'm grateful for that. And as long as it continues to do that, I should be in pretty good shape. This loss, it doesn't really set me back because when I look at it, I was plus 10 on Kostas, minus 6 on Ari, and minus 5 on Frank. So I'm minus 1 over the last 3 weeks. That's really not that bad. 22 over 500. From what I remember, being 22 over 500 will get you into the playoffs in our league. So all I have to do is go 500 from here. I think this team with Kershaw and Scherzer coming back, the schedule in front of me, Brian Lebo and Mike Sherman, it's favorable for me to go 500 in those 2 matchups. So just tread water and go from each matchup to the next and treat it like a different baseball game. And I think I should be okay, not taking a win or a loss into the next week. That seems to not really work out for me. The momentum, sometimes I have frustration. I'm not frustrated about it yesterday. I think it could have been so much worse based on how he pitched. The fact that he batted he was batting in the 290s for most of the week. He started to cool down by the end, but this could have been so much uglier than 13-8. And I told you guys in my thread, I'd sign up for 13-8 for what he was doing. This isn't a bad loss for me. Like, I can take this and just put it aside, move on, and attack the next one. And I'm just really grateful that it wasn't worse. Give him the tip of the cap. His team is doing great right now. I believe they've won 3 or 4 in a row. And this is a good time to get hot. Maybe this is a good time to get cold also for him. So if he takes that cold streak now, last 5 weeks, run the table and get to the playoffs.
Mike Haber, you did the research on this one. Anything we didn't hear from Benji?
Well, the only thing I want to point out was that Frank had a 2-start week from Corbin Burns, Yu Darvish, Dylan Cease, and David Peterson. A 2-start week from those 4 pitchers. And I don't know, and they were all awesome. But I don't know how it just lined up that way, against Ben. So it's his 4 best pitchers, I guess, or 3 best pitchers in David Peterson, all throwing twice against Ben. And
Peterson was in a favorable pair of matchups, if I'm not mistaken.
Marlins both times.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do to compete with that if you're playing up against it from the beginning, before a pitch is even thrown? So, I mean, 13-8, like Ben said, I think you take it in that case. We were talking earlier about how Frank just traded to improve his pitching staff even more. So
now he adds Logan Gilbert to this rotation of Burns, Darvish,
and Cease,
and now Logan Gilbert is the 4.
Yeah,
that's nasty.
Yeah,
nasty.
That is nasty.
Benji, I don't think you're going to have a problem competing for the playoffs, and I'm very excited to see what Frank does here this second half. It's going to be an absolute slugfest. Jason, what do you got for us here on this one?
Yeah, that's just it. It's just looking forward for Frank. Just like today, he's completely revamped his team. And look, we talked a lot about, how he would do that with adds and drops and, but I feel like what he did today is different. This wasn't about tearing his team down and starting over. This was about filling the holes that he felt he needed in a very more strategic way than just getting rid of guys and adding new guys. There's something about this that just
he essentially just constructed a 3-team deal where you end up with Chris Bryant. He ends up with a whole bunch of like really nice pieces and an outfielder he was looking for. And Kostas goes and takes the pieces that he wanted. It works out for everybody here. And this is a far cry from the days where he trades with Jason for Joey Gallo and Brandon Lau and then trades those pieces with other pieces out to go get other worse things. Like it was. This was a great move. This was a great move for him. It's a great win for him. It's a great week to be Frank Bucco. And he does, in fact, recognize that he has lost only once since week 6. He is 4-1-1. The only loss to Chris Levy, 14-3. That big beating there. Otherwise, he's all but made that ground right back up, and he's sitting right here in 8th spot. Looks like 7.5 out of a playoff spot. It's gonna be a great season to be Frank. I'm interested to see how he finishes this year. Let's move on to the next matchup, gentlemen. We're going to talk about the other beating that happened this week. We had a couple of those across the league. This one comes at the hands of Christian Wood, taken down and perhaps starting to create the coffin on Brian Lebo's season. On Sunday, Christian led by 1 run. Brian saved that one. Doubles were tied, and Christian got that. Walks, Christian had a 2-walk lead, and Brian got that one. Close categories. Christian does win by the 2 doubles, a home run by a hitter, and an error, and 1 strikeout by a pitcher. For Brian's team, 3 RBIs, a steal, and 2 wins. They tied in runs, triples, and walks by a hitter. For Christian on his bench, Benjamin, 10 for 57.
Thanks a lot. 137.
175. 5 runs that would have won the category. 2 doubles, 4 RBIs would have flipped the category, but he would have been perfect. A steal ties the category. 6 walks wins the category, but he would have had to get one of them in there. 15 strikeouts and an error. What's the most egregious one here, Jason?
There's really not. I mean, I guess on Sunday maybe you start Jace Peterson over Nolan Gorman, but and get the steal. But there was nothing that really stood out as what there was nobody benched over a guy who wasn't playing or something like that. It was just management.
Just decisions to make and whether or not those paid off. I got you.
Yeah.
All right. For his moves this week, he drops Cal Raleigh for Omar Narvaez over 4. He drops Narvaez for Mitch Garver over 3 with a walk and a strikeout. So proving just the slightest bit day after day. He dropped Mitch Garver for Jose Trevino, 1 for 4 with a run. Here we are. Adam Frazier, he drops for Dane Dunning, 6 innings, a no decision, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 150 and a 133 against Washington. And then drops Yuli Gurriel for Isaac Paredes, 3 for 3, 2 doubles, an RBI, and a walk. Ben, what team does Isaac Paredes play for?
Come on, man.
He's not.
It's the Salt Lake City.
Bees is what they're called.
Sure.
The Salt Lake Bees. Bees. And no. Perhaps at one point, but he's a Tampa Bay Ray currently.
This guy's not a nobody. He's the AL Player of the Week.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Yes.
He had an unbelievable week. Levy
He was
picked him up
incredible.
on Sunday.
Yeah.
Wow.
I waited and waited and waited, and I just couldn't get it.
Why? How is that possible? Did you just wait too long?
Yeah. I was waiting to see if it was real. And by the time it was real, it was Sunday.
Got it.
5 ads, 4 hitters, and a starter. His MVP this week, Jason. You can once again tell him he's welcome to Nolan Arenado. 345 with a 345, 5 runs, 5 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, and 4 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is Jace Peterson, 154 with a 200, a run, an RBI, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. Also, shout out to Bryce Harper, who's now on the IL with that thumb fracture. Are we going to see him by the end of the season?
I think so.
Okay.
I think if the Phillies are in it, yes.
Okay.
Is my guess.
It's a big ask. The Cy Young is Josiah Gray. 7 innings, a homer, a walk, 9 strikeouts, 2.57 and an 0.71. The Cy Yuck is, and I quote, he pitched to a 160 this week. So Bieber, 3.86 ERA with a loss.
I mean, you pick somebody.
Yeah, I mean, when you do that, you're not gonna get a whole lot of bad outings. For Lebo on his bench, Ben, 5 for 26.
Thank God. 196.
192. 3 runs, which would have won the category. 2 homers that flipped the category. 4 RBIs, 3 walks that would have won the category, and 10 strikeouts. Jason, what do you got for us here?
Tuesday, he's got a 2-run home run from Fremio Reyes on the bench. Yeah, you could find a way to get him in.
Yeah, I guess Bellinger is the bench here, but he's in Cincinnati. I mean, that's a rough play. Plus,
Bellinger's having such a bad year too.
Oh,
so's Franmil.
So is Franmil.
Yeah.
He strikes out a ton and just isn't hitting anymore.
bench Eric Hosmer. Come on.
Yeah, but then so he did. And then Thursday, he homers on the bench, and AJ Pollock is 0 for 4. So
yikes.
Yeah.
Inconsistent team.
Yeah.
Sounds like
really inconsistent team.
Sounds like it. His moves this week: he drops Andres Munoz for Brent Suter. He drops Ivan Herrera for Juan Yepes, 2 for 3 with a double and a strikeout. You're welcome, Brian. He's pretty good. Good rookie. Jonathan Heasley gets dropped for Phil Bickford, an inning, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned in a relief appearance. Jose Alvarez gets dropped for Ryan Tepera, who gives a scoreless inning of relief. Alex Wood gets dropped for Ronnie Garcia, 5 1/3, a win, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, a 1.69 and an 0.94 in Arizona. Phil Bickford gets dropped for Bryson Stott. Stott gets dropped for Steven Wilson, and Steven Wilson gets dropped for Alec Mills, 2 2/3, 3 homers, a walk, a strikeout, a 16.88 and a 2.63 at St. Louis. 8 ads, 2 hitters, 2 starters, 4 relievers. His MVP this week is, in fact, Yordan Alvarez. It's the guy who's been carrying him to this point, and it's kind of the only piece he's got. 316 and a 381, 6 runs, 4 homers, 7 RBIs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. The offense, like Bo Bichette, is finally starting to do something, but he's not been good this year.
Right.
CJ Crone is good when he's in Colorado. The rest, is what it is. Hosmer's come back to earth. Pollock is doing what he does.
He's living with Owen Miller as a second baseman.
Yeah, he traded away Jeff McNeil because he believed in Owen Miller as his second baseman. And okay, but now you're living with this as your second baseman. I don't know.
So in his defense, McNeil hasn't played for a little bit since he's traded him. Actually, I think Frank's only got about a week on him before he finally traded him away.
Yeah.
My God, McNeil's been traded that many times already this year. That's crazy.
He's a flying.
So
McNeil jumped in 4 teams, hasn't he? He started with you, went to Levo, went to Frank, and now
he's been traded 3 times. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But he could never get him in. I think he was just dealing with frustrations of maybe when he played him, those small times when he didn't play him is when he would hit, and when he did play him is when he got the 0 for 4. That happens, and then all of a sudden, that's the feeling that you get about that player, and then you're ready to get rid of him.
You're looking at numbers, and you're like, I don't understand how he's hitting this way. He never hits this way for me.
Yeah.
The least valuable hitter was AJ Pollock, 143 with a 143, 3 runs, a double, an RBI, and 3 strikeouts. Cy Young is Martin Perez, because of course it is. 6 innings, a win, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts, nothing earned, and 150 whip. He's thrown to a 196 and a 113, guys.
Over 87 innings. This is real.
This is
good pitcher.
What?
I don't get it.
That's
baseball. Okay, we just did not expect this with Robbie Ray or even Gosman a few years ago. There is a pitcher every year that just comes on the map, and you're like, what? Why is Jake Arrieta unstoppable. Like, I don't. Why is Dallas Keuchel with 86 miles an hour fastball unstoppable? Like, yeah, this year it might be Martin Perez. What is he, 30? You know.
I don't know how old he is, but I do recall the Rangers having Lance Lynn and Mike Minor, who did really well a couple of years ago. So it's not like this hasn't been something that they've done before, resurrected the dude and got rid of him.
Yeah.
He is born 1991. Somebody younger than us want to chime in there where that works?
31.
He's 31 years old. There you go. Thank you. The Cy Yuck is Alex Wood or Giolito or Scooble or Mills.
Some bad
Bird.
ones. Bill Mills is pretty bad.
I mean, it's a 6.06 ERA. It's hideous.
They were all bad.
They're all bad. Yeah. Christian gets right here, though, guys. Good win. Jason, what do you got for us here? What'd you see?
Yeah, that's just it. This was never really particularly close. Poor Brian Lebo, but yeah, Christian just did what he needed to do here and shown that he is still for real. He's not going away. I give my hats off to him. Everything he did was right. Everything that Lebo did was not right. Like it just worked out for Christian.
Just one of those rough weeks where it's just not going to work out for that guy who's making all the wrong calls. Is that what you saw there, Mike?
Yeah, the thing that kind of frustrated me a little bit about it was that if you're losing ERA that badly and you're losing home runs given up that badly, you need to win strikeouts by a pitcher. And I know it's one category, but we've seen it in the past. And I think Ben said it before, like every category matters. And Brian Lebo's in a hunt. Maybe he couldn't afford to drop anyone. And that's what I was kind of looking at. But like, you're almost playing for desperation here. Like, flip strikeouts. You have to. You have no choice here.
Well, on Sunday, he throws Brady Singer, who goes 8 1/3 and gets 5 strikeouts. He throws Alex Hills as a streamer who only gets him 1.
Okay.
Like, I think you're expecting more than that out of that guy.
Yeah.
I guess the argument is, well, go get a third one just to be sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many were out there because I know I grabbed 2. And then I know
I was playing around with 2.
Yeah, Frank grabbed 1. Yeah, so there might just not have been enough available by the time he went for it,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do it with relief pitchers too, though,
Yeah, that's true. How many ads did he have total?
I believe it was 8.
He used 8.
Yeah, Lebo used 8. So he still had some to burn. It's just a matter of like, who's he gonna snag? Who's available? What does he feel good about?
Yeah.
I know Ryan Tepera, that one game that he came in for right after Ohtani. I had that guy Elvis Presley Peguero because he was called up from AAA, and I was like, well, he's the only fresh arm other than Ryan Tepera. So if anything happens, it's going to be this guy. And of course, Ohtani went and did what he did. But I was very happy to see Lebo get that clean inning to finish that game out. And he had picked him up earlier in the week, so hats off to you on that one. That was a good call.
Yeah.
All of that being said, we were concerned last week that if somebody, and I directly quote Ben Nisman, if somebody does this to Lebo again, he might be done. And here we are. Somebody has done this to Lebo again. So is he done?
I guess just because he's playing me this week, I'm going to say no. Because he could get a win and turn everything around with a solid win, even like a 12-8 or a 12-9.
Mm-hmm.
Am I worried about this team? Yes, because it's showing its holes and it's getting later in the year where it's harder to fill those holes. I think he's used 3 trades.
Correct.
I'm not positive. Really? Okay, so he's got that. He has some value in some of these pieces. Maybe he can figure it out from there. The question is it more about him losing, or are we talking now again about Christian winning, who had lost 4 in a row, starting from week 7 against Joe? He had 1 week 6 against Matt, and then a loss to Joe, a big loss to Kostas, a loss to my brother Ari, a fairly big loss to Frank Bucco. And then now staring real trouble in the face against Brian. Brian hungry, and Christian did that. You know, he was very impressive this week. And the way he just kept on pushing and just, you know, tightening that strangle until it's a double up, and it's ugly. But again, I'm not extremely worried about Brian. Again, I guess it's easier to say because I'm the one facing him. But give kudos to Christian here. He managed a pretty solid week, and now has to weather the storm with Harper down. I'm just wondering, this is where you can really tell how good a manager, a fantasy owner can be. When their number one pick goes down, essentially for the most important part of our fantasy season, how do you come back from that? Can you still make the playoffs? In spite of that, you have yourself a little lead to play with now. How does he do it? What strategy does he implement in order to get there? That's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this young rookie compete with the big boys here down the stretch. His schedule isn't exactly all that favorable down the stretch. His final 4 weeks, which we should start looking at as we go forward. Bobby, Jason, Josh. He does finish the season against Matt Losey. He gets the favorable week 21 matchup, but two of those final 4 are guys that are going to be hungry. And then there's Jason Ashby, who is just looking to ruin somebody's season. Let's move on to the next matchup here, guys. And we're going to talk about another matchup that, Ben, we've talked about this in the past, where there are some matchups that you just expect to go some way. And then there's this. Like, we just keep seeing Bobby Russo playing to the middle. And Ari keeps competing every single week, and he's putting some whoopings on some guys. He's all of a sudden in 9th or 10th place right now and competing, and is only 8 games under. The tie here comes because on Sunday, walks were tied, and Bobby got that, and wins were tied. Ari had a 1-win lead, and Bobby tied that back up. Bobby wins by 2 doubles. He wins by the 2 walks on Sunday, a loss, and 4 walks by a pitcher. Ari wins by 3 runs, 5 RBIs, a strikeout by a batter, an error, 9 ticks on the on-base percentage, and 13 ticks on the whip. And they tied in wins that Bobby got on Sunday. For Bobby on his bench, Benjamin, this is going to be the fun part because both of these guys play the deep bench, do they not?
Right.
10 for 43.
Not terrible. I'll go 228.
233. He almost nailed it.
Oh,
5 ticks off. 5 runs.
So close.
Impressive.
5 runs flips the category, but he lost it by 3. That's a bit far. 7 strikeouts would have flipped the category, so good job getting that out of your lineup. 3 homers, 4 RBIs, a steal, 3 walks, and 7, the aforementioned 7 strikeouts. What does this note here, Jason? Would have flipped with the wins with Alexander?
Yeah, so on was it on Thursday, he benched Jason Alexander, who wasn't particularly good, but he got a win, and that would have flipped that category.
Going against St. Louis at home.
Yeah.
Isn't
sorry
great.
Who had Jason Alexander?
Bobby.
Okay, that makes more sense. I feel like Ari just starts as a starter. So
Yeah,
right.
Like, I thought this.
I mean, I don't know that I would have started him either against the Cardinals, but it's just noteworthy.
His moves this week: he drops Tom Murphy for Michael Chavis, 0 for 2 with 2 runs and 3 walks. Odubel Herrera gets dropped for Raimel Tapia, 1 for 4 with a 2-run homer and a strikeout. Tapia gets dropped for Josh Harrison, 0 for 1 left after he got hit by a pitch. Jordan Lyles gets dropped for Trent Grisham, 1 for 4 with a run. He drops Grisham for Chris Archer, 5 innings, a win, a walk, 5 strikeouts, nothing earned against Colorado. Josh Harrison gets dropped for Matt Bush, who was scratched from a start after making a relief appearance the previous night. So that's he then drops Michael Chavis for Josh Winkowski, 5 1/3, a win, a walk, 4 strikeouts, a 3.38, and a 4.31 whip.
Yeah.
Gross.
Oh,
that's at Cleveland, and then drop
brutal.
Matt Bush. 7 adds, 4 batters, 2 starters, a reliever, The reliever never saw the field. His key players this week. We'll start with Jaron Duran. What? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm still on a day here.
I think he's on the Boston Red Sox. Is that right?
He is on the Boston Red
Nice.
Sox.
Good job.
Duran.
Jaron Duran, 385, 429 on base, 5 runs, 4 doubles, 3 RBIs, 4 steals, 2 walks, and strikeouts. A shout out to Javi Baez, who had a triple and 3 homers and 7 RBIs. He finally had a good week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
The least valuable hitter is Eduardo Escobar, 200 with a 188, a run, a homer, 4 RBIs, 6 strikeouts, and an error. The Cy Young goes to Tanner Rainey, 3 innings, 3 saves, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 1.33 and 3 relief appearances. The Cy Young goes to Kyle Finnegan, 2 innings, a loss, a homer, 5 strikeouts is nice, a 4.50 and a 1.50 with 3 relief appearances. He threw to a very stellar 2.72 ERA this
Yeah. So again, it was kind of tough.
For Ari on his bench, Benjamin, 18 for 51.
Oh, damn it. Well, jeez. 303. I don't know. I'm really.
He got 2 of the numbers right. It's 350.
Close.
9 runs,
Really,
a double,
it's really hard.
9 runs, a double, a triple, 3 RBIs, 3 walks that would have flipped the category, 10 strikeouts that would have lost him that category. O'Neal Cruz just homered off of Eric Fetty, 2-0 Pirates.
Holy crap.
Manuel Margot gets dropped for CJ Abrams, and Abrams gets dropped for Albert Almora. 2 hitters. That's the only moves from Ari. His MVP this week, we're going to talk about Dansby Swanson. 387, 406 on base, 7 runs, a double, 4 homers, 6 RBIs, 7 strikeouts, and an error. But Dansby Swanson's having himself a year. 304, 13, 43, and 11 steals. Nice, dude.
Yeah.
And now he's going to hit atop the lineup with Albies out.
Yep.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. The Cy Young is Garrett Cole. 14 and a third, a loss, a homer, 5 walks, 20 strikeouts, a 1.26, and a 0.70 whip.
Good lord.
The least valuable hitter is Gavin Lux. He went 0 for 4 the only day he started in Ari's lineup, but had a good week otherwise.
Including yesterday.
Which is disappointing.
Yep.
Jamison Tyone is Cy Yuck, 5 2/3, 2 homers, 3 strikeouts, a 9.53, and a 1.76. Gross. All right. Bobby sits in the Bob spot as he does. Is his selected throne, shall we say, as the number 7 spot. We've seen him bubble up into the playoffs in 2019. Didn't quite make it in 2021. Looks like we're going to be playing this Watch Bobby do this again. So it's probably a coin flip at this point, is it not? Mike, Mike, you've been on record saying that this is Bobby's year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. This is a coin flip. Like, you look at his team top to bottom and it's good players. But is it playoff caliber players? And that's what I don't really know right now. Like, if Javi Baez is going to do anything for him, if Christian Yelich is going to step up and be Christian Yelich, if Brian Hayes is something real that's going to continue to produce, if Josh Bell is going to continue to hit 530 over the course of a week. These are Tyler Mahle, Patrick Sandoval. These are like middle of the road players that are good, but are they good enough to take him to one of those top 6? And that's what I don't know. I really don't know.
Jason, do you know?
No, I don't. I mean, echoing what Mike just said, like, he's got. Brandon Woodruff is on the IL, so getting him back would be critical. But like, aside from that, yeah, he's got just a bunch of middle of the road guys who are good. Nobody's really great. Is that enough to get just above that hump? I don't know.
these guys are saying is that Bobby is just sort of a 500 middle of the road team. And that shows in the results we've seen this season from him and in seasons past. This is what it is. It's will this guy getting 11 eights, 12 nines, 12 eights, taking an 8-10 loss, 10-10 ties for an entire season. Just the little, like this roller coaster. Is that going to make the playoffs, Ben? Can that make the playoffs?
Yes, it absolutely can, because if you get that 12-9, 12-8, 11-9, if you get it at the right time, that might be all you need if you've been playing 500 ball over the first 15, 16 weeks. So he's in a good spot here, and he's got what you would argue as favorable matchups in the next four. We're talking about Frank, we're talking about Mike Sherman and Brian Lebo, and with all due respect, Mike Haber. These are teams that have been under 500 the whole season. So if there was a time to capitalize, I would say it's this month. And if he gets hot this month, and if he goes 3-1, we can say this is the roster. Bobby's a hell of a manager. We've used the adjective brilliant to describe him, and I think that's legitimate. He really does know a lot about how to play this game, especially since 2018, how much better he has gotten. And I'm never going to doubt him. I would say the odds are against him, but I'm not going to doubt his ability, especially now that school is over, that he can focus on it a little bit more. And especially this week against Frank. I mean, Frank has owned him most of the time that they've played each other. Definitely in 2019, we know about how Frank knocked Bobby out in week 22 last year in the playoffs, being a spoiler. So Bobby has something to prove here. I think this is the premier matchup of the week. If it's not Kostas and Josh, it's Frank and it's this man, and I think that the two of them are just going to go at it this week. I'm really looking forward to it, especially because Bobby hit well and Frank hit well. Bobby pitched pretty well. Frank pitched pretty well. We're talking about two hot teams. Can they really both stay this hot? One of them is going to cool down. And the question is, if they both cool down at the same time, does that one other guy get that advantage of just not being as cold and then take that and get hot again and just go on the run?
We're going to be watching Bobby very closely as the weeks wind down. And you know what? Good for Ari for being competitive here. Good for Ari for sticking in this thing and making things difficult for these guys in this.
I believe he's undefeated over the last 4 weeks, but I want to double check that.
You are right. He has been undefeated in 4 straight, putting a whooping on James McCloskey, an 11-8 win on Christian, a 12-6 win on you, Benjamin, and then the 10-10 tie here. Jason, your turn.
Yeah, I get to play stopper.
Mm-hmm.
You look exactly. Kudos to Ari for being competitive here. Like I was watching this matchup going, I was almost rooting for him. Like, and I really try to stay impartial when I do this research. But I was rooting for him because it's good to see. I don't have the memory. I don't have the muscle memory of this league like you guys do. But when I think of Ari, I think of him in the 15th, 16th, 14th spot, and so seeing him really claw up these standings is really fun to watch.
That's interesting that you don't remember that he was actually in the finals in 2016, that year that you came back against Mike Sherman. And then in 2018, I think he had something like 20-something ads all season and managed to get the 2 spot, had the bye, and then Joe just demolished him in the semis. But yeah, he's had some intermittent success, and then also 2020, he was a division winner.
Yeah.
So every even year, he's actually been pretty solid. But
okay, so he's the Giants.
Yeah, he's end stage Giants syndrome.
And I just want to add about him too that I think that he's a great drafter in our league.
Yes,
and because it's saying a lot about his drafting skills, the fact that he can not manage his team for a lot of the season and not make ads and not push for new categories and still have this kind of success. it scares me to think what kind of a team he could be, what kind of manager he could be if he did put in all of the time that we put in. Like
Yeah.
he could be a playoff team every year.
The Bigs is better when Ari Nisman is good, in my opinion. The Bigs is better when that particular manager, and Mike Sherman as well, when those two guys,
those types of strategies.
Yeah.
Exactly. When they work and they're working well, this is a really fun league because it adds a different dynamic than a lot of people have. That being said, let's jump to the next matchup here. It's going to be the 14-5 whooping that Mike Sherman just put on James McCloskey. Ben, I see you shaking your head, and this is one of those moments where this is kind of the score that I beat him by that we were concerned about. And why didn't I go further? Like, because these things happen. And anytime you beat somebody in this league, you take it. When you lose to Mike Sherman like this, that is a cause for alarm.
Yeah.
On Sunday, saves were tied. Mike Sherman got a save on Sunday to make that happen. RBIs, Mike had a 1 RBI lead, and James got that one. Close categories. Mike wins by 2/3 of an inning, 2 wins, a save, 2 home runs given up by a pitcher, 2 walks, and 6 ticks on the whip. James wins by 2 doubles and 3 triples and a stolen base. They tied in RBIs and losses. For Mike Sherman on his bench, Benjamin, you're going to love this one.
No.
1 for 16.
Oh my God. I'm going to try it.
Yep.
0.13.
062.
I meant that. I meant 0.013,
Yes.
but
I knew what you meant.
So yeah, that was close.
062 with 2 runs, a double, 2 steals, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, and an error. The 2 steals definitely hurt, and it's 1 play. It was on Friday. Here's Jorge Mateo with the 2 steals on the bench. And here's Adam Duvall, 0 for 4 with a strikeout.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mateo himself didn't have a hit either. So like
No,
that's tough.
He got walked, he stole second, he stole third. That's how that works.
Wow.
For his transactions, he dropped Chris Archer for Jeff Hoffman, an inning and 2/3, a homer, a walk, a strikeout, a 10.80 ERA, a 2.40 whip, and a relief appearance. He dropped Ethan, not big, but very small. He added Sam Henkes, 3 innings, a win, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 1.33 whip, and 3 relief appearances. He dropped Jeff Hoffman for Dustin May, who's on the IL. Maybe he'll be back later this year. His MVP this week, I mean, it's Trey Turner, right? 2nd overall pick, 464 average, 484 on base, 7 runs, 2 doubles, a homer, 4 RBIs, a steal, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, and 2 errors. The least valuable hitter is, in fact, Adam Duvall, 133 with a 188, an RBI, and a walk, and 6 strikeouts. Cy Young is Shohei Ohtani, 8 innings, a win, a walk, 13 strikeouts, nothing earned, an 0.38 whip. The Cy Yuck is Tristan McKenzie, 4 1/3, 3 homers, a walk, 5 strikeouts, 12.46 when the Magna Carta was almost written. 2.31 whip. Yeah, you like
Nice.
that. Everybody loves a good Magna Carta joke. Very
Yes.
timely.
You're a history buff to an extent, so it's nice when you pull that stuff out.
All right, I appreciate that. McCloskey for his bench, Ben, 2 for 11.
A little bit easier. 193.
I somehow didn't write down the exact number, so 2 for 11.
I can do that.
182. 182 with a
That
run,
was my second
2
guess.
doubles, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. The 2 RBIs are the only thing that play, and the most obvious one is on Sunday. He had 1 on the bench, a 1 for 5 with the RBI here for Robbie Grossman,
Oh, that's
and
tough.
no Avisel Garcia.
Mhm.
His moves, he traded for Trevor Story, giving up David Bednar this week. Trevor Story was very serviceable, 280 average and a 300 on base. He dropped Jonathan Scope and Brandon Crawford for Vidal Brujan, 0 for 3 with a walk and 3 strikeouts, and Christian Walker, 0 for 2 with an RBI. He dropped those two guys for Brian Abreu, an inning and a third, 3 strikeouts, a 150 whip, and 2 relief appearances. And Jonathan Aranda, who?
No
Don't
idea.
don't ask me.
Okay.
The Charlotte Coasters. That's
I'll believe it. I'll believe it.
Yeah.
I have no idea who this dude is, why he was on a team. He got dropped 2 days later for Lennon Sosa.
John
Can't keep
Lennon?
up anymore.
John Lennon?
John Lennon
Damn
Sosa.
sure.
Okay.
Sure.
He then dropped Lennon Sosa for the next day for some scrub named Luis Guillorme, who went 0 for 12 with 3 strikeouts that weekend for him. His
Nice.
MVP is Freddie Freeman. 440 with a 533 on base, 6 runs,
Jeez.
2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 11 RBIs, 4 walks, and 9 strikeouts. The least
Yikes.
valuable hitter, yeah, it's Guillorme. 0 for 12 with 3 strikeouts. Gross. The Cy Young, Ben Herman Marquez is not a streamer. 7 2/3 with a win, 5 walks, 2 strikeouts, nothing earned, a 104 whip.
5 walks is not good. I'm just
It's not
saying.
good, but I mean, it's not Carlos Carrasco. 2 1/3, a loss, 3 homers, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, the stock market crash, and a 2.57 whip. That was terrible.
Yeah, and then he was taken out of the game, so that might have been
Yeah.
related to it.
I would imagine so. Let's dive into this one, guys. McCloskey remains in the hunt here. He's in 12th. He's 14 games under, but he's starting to fade here. Does do a little bit to strengthen the team. Goes out and trades away Ryan Mountcastle for a couple of pieces to me. Mike Haber, I'll start with you on this one, man. Where are we seeing these two teams? Is this going to be bottom of the consolation bracket? Do you see them both getting in, or where are we at?
Oh man, this is a tough call. Like McCloskey's team, I look at it, it's again, it's like one of those, like you have players that could be superstars, but they're just like not. Like Trevor Story, Byron Buxton, Nelson Cruz, Justin Turner's been underwhelming this year. I don't really know where you go from here. I know he lost Albies for a long time, which is a huge bummer.
Huge.
And he doesn't really have a bullpen to write home about.
Right.
And so those are some pretty major concerns. And it's over the course of the past few years, we've proven that like a bullpen is pretty important in this league. And it's hard to compete with some of the managers at the top and some of the managers in the middle who are fighting for the top, who do have bullpens. It's hard to compete. So that's definitely a concern I have. I'm happy. I like the Trevor Story and O'Neal Cruz acquisitions that he's gotten recently, because it has improved his middle infield. But at the same time, like, some of the other concerns I think are a little too glaring right now. Then again,
the obvious one you're referencing here is Bednar for Story, and I think we should discuss that one since it happened this week in Impact. How do you see that trade panning out?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because Albies went down, and I know that he wanted to fill that hole quickly. And I was the same way when Eloy went down. I wanted to fill that hole. But he gave up his one reliable strength of his bullpen. And I don't think that Trevor Story was necessarily worth it in his specific case. Jason, I don't know if you disagree.
Yeah, well, because the one thing I'm seeing is he lost Albies, and he also had Polanco on the IL, but Polanco's coming back. And so I just wonder if he could have weathered another week or two of streaming second baseman, waiting for Polanco to come back and keeping Bednar. That said, though, his bullpen is full of guys who I feel like if anything happens to their team's closer, they're the next guy in line, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's got the Cubs next guys. He's got, Vestia could see some saves now. He's got Gallegos, so like he's kind of back and forth with Hillsdale.
And that's sort of a 50-50 split. He was very adamant that he was not going to move Gallegos whatsoever in any deal. So I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to do that. That's not what I'm here for.
So he's got guys that could get him some good work in the bullpen. But you're right. Bednar was his only reliable source of saves at the moment, and I just wonder, if he could have held on to him, play with Guillorme, play with Brujan, play with the second baseman until Polanco comes back.
Yeah, my question is, when Polanco does come back, you just traded for O'Neill Cruz and Trevor Story. You have Nelson Cruz, who is in your utility spot.
Yeah.
What's happening here? Who's getting dropped? Who's losing playing time?
That's the interesting question. He does have a couple of trades left. He's certainly open to moving some players, I would imagine. Ben, you've been awful quiet here. We're breaking down this manager. You're looking at your phone, looking a little confused. What do you got?
Yeah, well, firstly, I haven't really dug into McCloskey's schedule on what a big difference it would be between having Bednar or not. If it's really just all guys that he's facing that only have one or two closers, then it doesn't matter that he has one. So he has to get something for that closer. Was the time now? I don't know, but I always am afraid that a closer is going to lose his gig. And if the iron was hot, you can get Trevor Story for him. I didn't hate that trade. When Polanco comes back, he'll worry about that when it happens. Like, he needed to assess this issue with Albies. And I give him a lot of credit that he jumped on it quickly and he dealt with it as quickly as possible. So I've never been like concerned about McCloskey as far as the first half of the season. It's always the second half where I'm like, where is this guy going to go? He almost fell out of it in 2019. And that was his only real playoff appearance. I mean, I realized he was the #1 seed and a division winner in 2020. But he's been in this league a long time. And it's been more of the around 500 and then falling out of it than it has been hovering around 500 and then making the playoffs. That's been basically him. So besides that 1 year in 2019, he's fallen out of it. So he's got to prove to himself that he can weather the storm here. He's got to deal with the like Mike talked about, an underperformed stars. So we'll see what happens here. I kind of feel like I'm more concerned about these two teams than I am a Brian Lebo right now. Freeman can only hold it down for so long. O'Neill Cruz can only hold it down for so long. O'Neill Cruz is going to cool down. So what happens at this point? Like, the offense has to step up and the bullpen has to be a little bit better. He could make some switches here and there, but I like what he did with that trade. I would have done that also if I was him with just one closer. It kind of depends on the schedule, though. We'd have to look ahead.
So the schedule is Mike Haber this week. Jimmy Dunlap.
Not winning saves with Bednar.
Jimmy Dunlap, Christian Wood.
Probably not winning saves.
No. You?
Okay.
Bobby?
I don't know enough with Bobby's team as far as closers go.
He's got Class A and like maybe one other dude that can contribute.
Okay, so maybe there's one that he could compete with. Okay. Bednar. Maybe. If Bednar still has his job by then. No, yeah, maybe.
Josh Haber?
No.
Matt Losey?
Yeah, I think so.
And then me.
No.
So 2 out of the final weeks, he might have been able to compete with Bednar.
But are we just talking about saves though? Like,
yeah,
Bednar,
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can win relief appearances without Bednar.
Yeah, but look at his
really
other
good.
numbers. Look at
He's
other
outwardly, yeah.
Yeah, I understand when he comes in, he throws a goose egg, and that's important. But you generally don't lose or win ERA by a couple of outs. You know what I mean? Like, you need Bednar for saves. Mm-hmm. And right now, from what we've just outlooked for the rest of his schedule, he can only potentially win 2 out of 10 weeks. I mean, it's not a bad trade for him.
I think I'm on board with it as well. And as for Mike Sherman, this is a great win. This is one of those weeks that we look back on and go, that was influential. One way or another, He's going to influence the playoff picture. And this might be it for James.
Yeah.
This might be one of those weeks that he looks back on and goes, man, I really shouldn't have gone -9 to Mike Sherman. That's not how you want to be pushing for the playoffs. It just isn't.
Hey, before we move on, I
Uh-huh.
have some breaking news that affects like all three of you.
Oh
Oh
no.
my goodness.
So there was a brawl with the Angels and the Mariners a couple days
Yesterday.
ago.
Yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. And,
Yeah.
they just released all the suspensions.
Oh my goodness.
No.
What do we got?
There's a lot of them. Jesse Winker has received a 7-game suspension.
There's a week.
He'll appeal that.
JP Crawford has received a 5-game suspension.
He'll appeal that.
Raisel Iglesias, 2-game suspension. Julio Rodriguez, 2-game suspension. I think that's all that matters to this group.
Wance didn't get anything.
Wentz got 3 games. Anthony Rendon got 5 games.
So
Which
when
he
he
has-
gets healthy and
Goes
returns
next
in
year.
2027, he'll have to serve 5 games for
That's
mushing
ridiculous.
Jesse Winker in the mouth.
Wow.
Oh my
Ryan
god! My
Tepera-
two guys that were on my fantasy team fighting against.
Ryan
each other.
Tepera got 3 games. And then the Angels Major League interpreter got a 2-game suspension.
Nice. That's amazing.
Why?
Wait a minute. How does that work?
Why did he?
If he's
Yeah, how did he-
suspended, who talks to Ohtani?
No one. That's the punishment.
How did he
So they
get
just have this
suspended,
guy
though?
not
Was he
communicate with his teammates for
wait a
2
minute, was
games?
he talking trash in Japanese and people just like heard it and was like, wait a minute, I know what he's actually saying. That's my
Otani and Max Stassi are gonna have to figure it out in his next start.
Wow.
Oh,
Learn
man.
Japanese, Max.
All right. All
So,
right, Jason. It is time to discuss the last matchup of the week here. And it is, in
Oh,
fact,
no.
you against Kostas Paragas
Ugh.
here. Kostas takes down a
God.
12-7 win because on Sunday, he gets
Ow.
triple to tie that category. He gets the home run to take that category. Jason,
Right.
you had a steal lead. Innings were tied, so you took that. Losses, you gave up a loss and tied that up. And home runs were tied up, and you gave up that homer. Close categories, you won by 2 doubles. You won by 25 ticks on the ERA and 8 ticks on the whip. Kostas wins by that homer. He wins by a steal, 2 errors, 2 saves, and a home run given up by a pitcher. You guys tied in triples and losses. On Kostas's bench this week, Benjamin, 2 for 11.
Didn't we already do this?
We did.
Is it okay. Was it 182?
It was 182. He nailed it. A run,
Nice
2
shot.
doubles, 2 RBIs, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. We've already talked about him trading away Trevor Story for David Bednar. He dropped Luis Guillorme, which is interesting in and of itself. Just a nice little, how do you do? He drops Tyler Rogers for Rob Refsnyder. 2 for 4, 2 runs, a double, a homer, 2 RBIs. He drops Evan Phillips for Matt Carpenter, 1 for 3 with a strikeout. He drops Matt Carpenter for Sam Mole, not to be confused with like the animal in the ground or the thing on that guy's face from that movie.
Mole, 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 mole.
Exactly.
Austin Powers.
Nailed it.
Old member.
And this guy instead gave up a home run, 3 walks, has an infinite ERA, an infinite whip, and a relief appearance because he walked 3 dudes and then gave up a bomb and didn't get an out.
Yikes.
Well done.
Yeah.
He dropped CNL Perez for JT Brubaker, 6 innings, 6 strikeouts, a 450 and a 150. He dropped Ref Snyder for Caprellian. I swear to God, he was just picking up the guys whose names were the longest on free agency. Caprellian, 5 1/3, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 5.06 ERA, and a 1.13 whip. He dropped Sam Mole for Seth Brown, 2 for 4, a run, a double, a homer, and an RBI. He drops Garrett Richards for Rafael Ortega, which was a waste. He drops Rafael Ortega for Zach McKinstry.
You can do it.
Zach McKinstry, that's his
Good.
name.
Yeah,
and he
good
was
job.
scratched. He dropped McKinstry for Trace Thompson. I'm never saying that dude's name again.
McKinstry.
That guy. Trace
That
Thompson,
guy.
1 for 4, 2 RBIs, a steal, a walk, and 2 strikeouts. And it's that steal that won
Yeah.
that category for him on Sunday night. He then dropped
Wow.
JT Brubaker for Hunter Green, who's coming back to his team next week. The MVP this week is, in fact, Alejandro Kirk, who was really good. But he was better than this line because I'm looking at Jason's team. 450 average, 522 on base, 5 runs, 4 homers, 9 RBIs, 3 walks, and 2 strikeouts.
Jeez.
The least valuable hitter is Yandy Diaz, 143 and a 182, a run, a double, an RBI, a walk, and a strikeout. The Cy Young is Josh Hader, 3 innings, 3 saves, 5 strikeouts, 3 ERA, 1 whip, and 3 relief appearances. The Cy Young is Sam Mole. We talked about him. He got obliterated. For Jason on his bench, Benjamin, 11 for 42.
Oh my God, he was so close to that quarter. 262.
He nailed it right on the money.
Wow.
3 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 2 RBIs.
Good way to finish.
4
I got to
walks.
finish strong. It's been a rough
Damn
night.
right.
Yeah.
11 strikeouts and an error. It's the home run. Jason, do you know where it is?
Yeah, it was Suarez, right?
Yeah, Tuesday and Suarez.
Yeah.
Suarez on the bench with the home run. That's the wrong.
Donaldson did not.
He
No.
did nothing but walk and strike out. That's the only play. For your ads, you dropped Nick Martinez for Caleb Killian, 2 1/3, a loss, 5 walks, 3 strikeouts, stock market crash, and a 343 whip. Ramon Laureano gets dropped for Nabil Crismat, an inning, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a 1 whip, and a relief appearance. You dropped Caleb Killian for Reed Detmers, who was optioned. You dropped Detmers for Connor Brogdon, an inning and 2 strikeouts and a relief appearance. You dropped Ezekiel Duran for Ha-Seong Kim, 1 for 5 with a run and a strikeout. Dropped Josh Winkowski for Jake Cheeseburger, 1 for 4 with a double cheeseburger. Ah.
Nice.
Dropped
McDouble,
Hunter
very
Green
nice.
for Luis Garcia, not the bad one in Washington or the good one on Houston, but the in-between reliever for San Diego. An inning,
one.
3 strikeouts and a relief appearance. Dropped Orlando Arcia for Andrew McCutchen. Dropped Connor Brogdon for Evan Phillips, who threw a clean inning. Dropped Chris Flexen for Dick Mountain, 6 innings and a win. Dropped Jake Berger for Dylan Moore, 1 for 3 with a run, an RBI, and a steal. And dropped Luis Garcia for Dallas Keuchel, 4 1/3, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, an 8.31 ERA, and a 2.08 whip. We'll talk about him in a second. Your MVP is Ian Happ. 250 average, 250 on base. That's just one day. That's not what I'm looking at. It has been a long day. I'll be glad with
Yeah.
it. All right. Let's see. Your play of Ian Happ, who's no longer on the team. 231 and a 310, 2 runs, 3 doubles, a homer, 5 RBIs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts. The least valuable hitter is also not on the team anymore in Josh Donaldson, 167, 286, a run, 3 walks, and 7 strikeouts. The Cy Young is Ranger Suarez. Hi, Mike Haber. How do you like Ranger Suarez?
Yeah, I still want him on my team.
7 1/3, a win, a homer, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 245, and a 1.23. And the Cy Young is Caleb Killian. We talked about him. He had the stock market crash in the 343.
Killing me.
He did, in fact, Killian. All right. Kostas is in the hunt. Jason's trying to spoil some seasons and get back into this thing with half the season left. Jason, I'll leave it to you here. This was your matchup.
Yeah, this was another rough one. My offense just did not show up. The fact that Ian Happ in his 250
231.
batting average or something. Yeah, that he was my MVP like shows just how rough my offense has been. That's why I made this Chris Bryant trade in hopes that something happens because my offense has just been dreadful for weeks now. And the thing is, like, I was feeling pretty good after Saturday. I picked up Dylan Moore like late Saturday, thinking that I would get that steal, and I got that steal. And then he turns around and gets it from whoever the
Trace
fuck
Thompson.
on Sunday.
Clay Thompson's little
Clay
brother.
Thompson's brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like,
go ahead. I'll finish.
yeah, it was that was a gut punch. Look, I took a shot with Dallas Keuchel. Figured against the feeble Tigers, could he really be that bad? He was decent. Like I mean, he got me the 7 strikeouts, which was nice. Like I don't hate it. I won't do it again, but I don't hate it for what it was. I liked most of the moves that I made this week. Crismat was, I came down to, I think it was on Sunday morning. I was going to drop either him or Luis Garcia, and I dropped Garcia because Chris Matt had gotten the win the night before. I was like, okay, this guy looks like maybe he's in line for some high leverage stuff. He gets the loss on Sunday. So it's just shit like that. You know, I felt like I had a good week. I felt like I played it well. It was shit
close
just happened.
all week. You were leading going into Sunday, and it's just another one of those rough Sundays that somehow you now become known for. Whether
Can
it's
we
Uncle
have
Barry,
6 day weeks?
Benny wants 6 day weeks now. Did we lose him?
He's so mad about that. Yeah.
I think it's a yes. I think he just agreed to it.
All right, 6 day weeks going forward, according to Ben Nisman. That's hilarious. All right. As for Kostas, I mean, it was a good week for him. He hit the hell out of the ball, and that's pretty surprising for a team that was absolutely abysmal for the first month or two. But you know, we get a nice pitching matchup here, 401 to a 426. The whips are close. You know, it was a good solid matchup. You know, you're not ever going to compete with Kostas in relief appearances. We know that.
Yeah.
And the fact that you almost had steals on him from his team
the thing is, I actually was trying to compete with him, and for a while, it was looking like it was gonna be pretty close. And I mean, he was beaten by 5. Like, he didn't blow me out in relief appearances. I really kind of, because for our matchup, I completely destroyed my bullpen. I said no way, and I went no relievers, and I brought them all back.
I think you only had 4 relief appearances that week.
Yeah,
from like the 2 guys you held on to.
Yeah, and so this week I built it all back to try and think, okay, maybe I can.
And he's stunned right there.
Yeah, hi Ben.
Yep, that's terrific.
It's just sideways about this whole
thing.
For
those listening, this must be like, what the hell are these guys talking about? Oh, there's Benjamin. All right. Well, that being said, let's move on to managers of the week, shall we? Let's talk about.
Can I just throw in my 2 cents on this matchup, though?
Be my guest.
Thank you. What I'll say is that I was pretty sure this was a loss for Kostas. I was actually fairly convinced, and he just figured out a way to like gut out a win late, and don't know how a guy. It's Jace Peterson. It's Trace Thompson this time. You know,
Seth Brown.
He's got Seth Brown on a Sunday. It's unbelievable. And the fact that he got those 3 needed bombs to get that category, that's something I just didn't expect coming. And God, again, Trace Thompson. The fact that that guy's parents named their kids Clay and Trace, it's like, are you obsessed with arts and crafts? Like, come on, you know, thank you. I've been waiting on that one.
That's a good one.
I need to come back on the show just for that. Jason, he's gonna win this week against Ari. I think he's gonna find a way to just be a spoiler and get as close to 500 as he can. He won that consolation bracket last week. I have no doubt that he's going to ruin somebody's season this year. And as for Kostas, man, it was an opportunity for someone to squish the bug. Someone please do it. We know what happens if you leave Kostas breathing. So I'm just hoping that for somehow, some way. I love the guy. I'm rooting for him in a certain aspect, but I know how dangerous this guy can be. So we're going to see what happens against Josh Haber. That's the one, besides the Frank Bobby matchup, I'm really, really looking forward to. So hard to say who's got the edge here going in.
Very interesting. Kostas' next 2 opponents here, he does have Josh, then Matt Losey, then me, Jimmy Dunlap. That's going to be an interesting 4 weeks. It's going to make or break his season, if I'm honest.
And I do want to say also that the trades that he just made are very interesting, because we're talking about he was trading from a position of strength from his pitching staff and bullpen. His pitching staff and bullpen got better, but he weakened his offense, in my opinion. You're trading away Chris Bryant, who you've been waiting on all year.
And you
And
traded
how-
away Trevor Story. So the only one of your top 4 draft picks in Josh Hader is left on the team.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. This is the
Yeah.
makings of what happens as you disassemble your crumbling team, and it does not usually end well. So we will see if he's capable of doing a better job of dismantling and restructuring than
Mhm.
others have in the past.
It's just so weird that he built his team around bullpen, and it's become such a different team now.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Yep.
All right. What is the matchup of the week that you guys were most excited about watching? Ben Nisman, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it was the one that I just discussed. I thought this had the opportunity to be the most chess-like type matchup between everybody. I kind of, even though you and Josh were higher up in the standings, Joe, I just always felt like you were a tough matchup for him. This was one that I thought could go either way, and I really enjoyed it all week.
So he gives it to Jason and Kostas. Jason, where are you going with your matchup of the week?
There's a lot of good ones this week. I think I gotta go with Ari and Bobby. I watching that matchup, and just it was neck and neck all week, and just who was gonna blink, and nobody really did. But it was just fun to watch. I like those ties. I like those close matchups. So I give it to them.
All right, Mike Haber, what do you got for matchup of the week?
I'm gonna go Ben and Frank on this one. Great matchup. I'm really glad I got to research this one and dive deep into it. And all week I was like, how is Ben gonna compete with these top pitchers getting 2 starts for Frank? Is he gonna try to chase those innings, wins, strikeouts category, or is he just gonna play it safe? And so for me, that's what it was captivating all week.
And for my matchup of the week, Mike Haber, I am going to select your win over Chris Levy. I was very invested in that matchup, both because I was researching it, but because Jason was also researching it, but because it was the team I was chasing for first place, and you were putting a whooping on him. And though I am frightened that this might be the beginning of a Mike Haber run, I'm certainly happy to take back over first place. So thank you. Your daddy is appreciative of the head of the table again. Let's talk about managers of the week, gentlemen. We're going to start with the number 3 manager of the week, and we're going to kick this off with Ben Nisman. Let's start with you. Who's your number 3 manager of the week?
First of all, I really enjoyed the fact that we all picked a different matchup for our favorite matchup. So that's good. I mean, that means the league is exciting. We all see something great about different matchups. We're doing 4 different out of 8. So that's great. Number 3, feel bad taking it away from my opponent because it would have been him, but that run that Kostas just made at the end, I could not ignore that. I was so sure this was a 10-9 win for Jason. Then all of a sudden, boom, 12-7 on Sunday. Unbelievable run. Look out for Kostas now.
Yeah, he's a dangerous man, getting the number 3 manager of the week from Ben. Jason, let's go ahead and talk with you about your number 3.
Well, I'll turn the tables and give it to your opponent, Ben. I'll give it to Frank Bucco for just that, for taking down the reigning champ in one of our matchups of the week. It was a good win. It was a good win for Frank, and again, he's on this roll now, so look out for Frank.
I'm going to go ahead and give my number 3 to Kostas as well. A good solid win there and getting himself right. And you know what? It happened on a Sunday. He put those dudes in place, whether or not it's luck, black magic, or what have you. It is what it is. It happened. And that's what matters. Kostas gets a point from me. Mike, who's your number 3?
I'm going to go a different route here. I'm going to go Christian Wood. He was sort of trending downward after a couple weeks, and I think he really needed this win. Brian Lebo is a very hungry manager in general. So I give a lot of credit to Christian Wood for coming back and taking down a whooping.
I really like where this is trending, that we're picking different managers. We're picking different matchups this week. This is an opportunity for somebody to make a lot of ground up. So Christian Wood gets a point there as Mike Haber's number 3. We'll move to number 2, Benjamin, who's your number 2 manager of the week this week.
Following it up from my co-host sentiments, Christian Wood is number 2. Was not an easy opponent with Brian Lebo. You know that guy is going to fight all week, make a ton of ads. I mean, he made 8 of them, I believe. So he had a fight with him, and Christian, who was trending low, had lost 4 in a row, gets back on the winning trail. He gets off the schneid, and I mean, to beat a guy like that, Brian Levo's an impressive manager. So I'll give it to Christian there.
Hats off to Christian there. Jason, let's hear your number 2 manager of the week.
Yeah, I'm gonna go different. Also, I'm gonna go and definitely shout out to Christian for doing what he did. What you guys just said, 100%. I followed that matchup. He really put a stomping on Brian. But Joe, I gotta go you here. Back in first place, back where you're comfortable, and doing it in a in a whooping over Josh. So kudos to you.
I thank you, my friend. I thank you for that. Mike, who you got at number 2?
I have to agree with Jason. Joe, I'm going to go with you as my number 2 manager. Taking down a playoff contending team to just further your lead in this league. And at the same time that Chris Levy was taken down, solidifying your spot at the top. So well done to you. Hats off, Joe. And
I appreciate you two, gentlemen. I really do. I appreciate that, but I can't believe there's going to be somebody above me. That's what I'm disappointed about. My number 2 is Frank Bucco. You don't beat the reigning defending champion and don't get a shout out here on the show. And this was a pretty damn good win for Frank Bucco, who did need to get right here. He needed to get at least back toward 500 in order to make this happen. And you know what? It's not a huge loss for Ben. He's in a good spot, still has that trophy over his shoulder and will for the rest of this season. Maybe even into next season if he can pull off the back-to-back. That might be interesting. But for now, Frank Bucco, number 2 on my list. Benjamin, who's number 1?
It's a no-brainer for me, Joe Schubert. It's you. I think that kind of stomping on a manager that's been working his ass off all year to the point where I've been starting to expect Josh to collect W's. Josh was stomped out here. And Joe, you schooled him in every aspect of fantasy baseball. So you're my number 1 this week.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I have to do to in order for you guys to give me number 1, because I even played not 1 but 2 bluffs on a Sunday, and it worked, and I gained a category. But you do you. Jason, who's your number 1?
The guy who knocked out the former number 1 guy, Mike Haber. Putting a stomping on Chris Levy, the now former number 1 team in the league. I paving the way for you to get back into that spot. Yeah, I'll give it to Mike Haber.
I do have to admit that is also my number 1 as well, because I couldn't vote for myself. And thank you very much, Mike Haber. I appreciate it. Like now, who is it that's number 1 for you? That's not me, and it can't be you.
I'm going a different route again to a manager that hasn't gotten a lot of credit this year. I'm giving it to Mike Sherman.
Wow,
nice.
14-5 takedown of James McCloskey. That is a great manager you're playing against. And I give Sherman a lot of credit. And you know what? A 14-5 win is something to be proud of. And he's still fighting hard. He hasn't earned a lot of points in this competition from us. And I think that he deserved a number 1 manager of the week for me.
That is fantastic to see, and I'm sure it is much appreciated from Mr. Sherman. I am just updating the current standings, as it were. I somehow forgot myself in those standings, so that's fun. I'll have to go back and add that together, but in any event, after those have been taken care of, we're going to go ahead and do this.
Did I not make Ben's top 3 at all?
That was a failure of an omission, my friend.
That's okay. It's okay. No,
I'm admitting it now. That is a failed omission. That is bad. That's bad.
No worries.
So Christian still leads the way, 47
I'm going to have to do a makeup.
That's okay.
At some point.
Unfortunate for somebody else, but that's really bad.
That's okay.
Christian still leads the way.
Mine?
Chris Levy right there. If you would like to.
Okay, I got to get him in there.
I'm okay.
You have Kostas, Christian, and myself. Where
then I gotta bump Kostas. I can't. I mean, I feel terribly, but it's just, he was so much better.
There you go, Mike. You got a 7th point this week.
Thank you.
What a campaign.
Thanks, Ben.
And then
You earned it. I'm glad you said something.
There you go. That would tie you with Jason with 15 points. I don't know where I fall. I'm gonna have to go back and tabulate mine because I didn't see it on the because I remade this thing just recently because there was like some green shit on it and like I was just like, this is ugly. Let me redo this. And we got added a trades tracker, gentlemen, because it is getting close to that end of the season. You will see a black stripe here for Jason. Can't make any more.
Nope.
I'm curious, Jason, have you tried to make one and see what Yahoo does? Like, does it just blanch it out so you're not able to click?
No, I have not tried.
I'm curious about that, to be the guinea pig there.
Yeah, we'll have to try that. Here's the tracker, fellas, and it's always just so colorful, but the colors are starting to get similar as the weeks continue. Like this is starting to find its eventual ending color. You do see the white has gone up. Jimmy's sticking right around. Green staying still. Benny's been right around the top. Christian hanging tough here. Josh hanging tough here. Bobby's been in 7th for 3 weeks. McCloskey takes a big hit here with the loss to Sherman. Frank continuing to make his climb. Kostas has been all over the map. Ari making a climb back out of the basement. Lebo has fallen off quite a bit. Sherman coming up from the basement. Jason in almost full free fall at this point.
Yep. Whee!
And Matt Losey. Beep.
Pretty
beep,
static.
Beep. Got it. Most and worsts of the week. I set the record for the season with most doubles this week, 21. Frank set the record for most wins in a week with 9. Ben, you tied the record for most losses in a week with 9. And Frank set the record even more than week 1, which was the extended week, for most strikeouts in a week at 119.
Unreal. I couldn't stop that. Stop that.
Damn.
Update, Yahoo will let me make a trade. But I won't.
But how is that? No, I think something will happen though, because it's even set in the league. If you go to the commission, like the rules in the league settings, it'll say that you have a max of 6.
Well, I'm not going to try and send it because I don't want to send it, but it's not telling me.
Right.
Yeah.
The least this week, I don't think anybody had anything that was too outstanding. No new records here. Ari tied the record for fewest relief appearances for himself and Jason with 4.
Funny number.
Right? Only 4 relief appearances all week. We only have 2 guys who've ever had 0 losses in the, or no, I'm sorry, 4 guys with 0 losses in the week. And the 43 1/3 is still the lowest number of innings. We still haven't had anybody go under 45 yet this season, other than that week. And that week is particularly fucked up because I think I had an injury or something that happened to the starter I had going on Sunday. So I was very, very that I wasn't going to make it.
But it's impressive that we haven't had anyone under the minimum
or
so
at the
far,
minimum.
or at the minimum.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
It's been close, but everybody's been over 45 even, which lends itself very well to Benjamin, the thought of moving that forward next year. But we'll keep it going.
Very tempting. Very tempting. We'll see.
We've got another 10 weeks. We'll see where we go as things finish up. Guys, that's week 11. That has been half the season already. And you may now feast upon my leftovers.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you so much.
I'll start.
I appreciate you guys being here so much. Benji, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure as always, man. It's a pleasure to be a competitor, but it's even a greater pleasure to be your commissioner. I'm privileged to be with the 3 of you guys every single show. I think we kill it every single time, giving the guys some content to enjoy. And now others in other leagues I've found out like to listen to our show as well, which puts a little bit more pressure on us, but we like that. It makes us rise the level of our game and put in a better show for you guys. So thank you guys. Thank you, the 3 of you, for putting on such a great show. And it's just been a great time. And this season has just unfortunately flown by. I cannot believe we're over halfway. That sucks. But I'm excited to see the second half and see what comes of it.
Absolutely. This is going to be a wild run to the finish here. Jason Ashby, thank you so much for being here with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. You know, I'm in it to win it as long as there's still weeks going. So I'm I'm not going anywhere. I'm happy to be here. I love this league. I love this
Our
show.
our consolation trophy king must return to his consolation bracket, defend his throne.
Oh,
God damn it!
jeez.
Yes,
God damn it.
I need a consolation Burger King crown.
Yes, we need to do something with that. In fact, I have ideas. Mike Haber, thank you so much for being here. Please do not hesitate to win again this week and continue to climb back into this thing, because as the league is more fun when Ari Nisman is good, the league is better when Mike Haber is competitive, and we like it when Mike Haber is beating people. Thank you for being here, man.
Thanks, Joe. I know it's hard for you to say that, but thank you. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure. Looking forward to July 4th with you guys next week.
Yeah.
The final 10, 11 weeks that are going to stress the hell out of me, but can't wait. Can't wait for it.
Anxiety is coming. The final weeks are upon us. We're 10 weeks away from the playoffs, boys. Who knows who's going to rise and fall? We are often live, or at least getting together. So if you guys ever do want to get together with us and talk baseball, we don't necessarily have to record or go live, but join us on Zoom. Just talk some stuff with us. To those of you in the Doubleday Pro League, I won again, and now I'm a half game out of a playoff spot. Y'all don't want none of this smoke. I'm going to keep continuing to beat you guys. And now I've got the team that's going to do it. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok for outtakes, hot takes, Frank's takes, and any other kinds of takes that I come up with. Follow us on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more for the audio versions. If you're watching on YouTube, click that subscribe button, ring that bell. It's been a sloppy one. I'm a bit tired, and I think it's time to go home, guys, because it's been real. It's been fun, and it is always real fun in the bigs. We'll see you guys next time.